Chapter 52, 92, finally reversed the case, got out of jail, and became a veteran of a character. Now he is stationed in the Palace of the Elders, and his strength has been fully recovered, and he has been mixed up. The Sixth Order Emperor enters the second prison, just like the Fifth Order Emperor enters the third prison, with a 90% fall rate, going in as 10 deaths and 9 lives. The prisoners inside were all ancient demons or ancient fierce beasts, each of which was extremely powerful and possessed the strength of the six-tier peak. Although Shanjun is the demon lord, his strength has been suppressed for so long, and he was thrown into the second prison just after he was released. Life is not easy, and it is likely to fall. The true spirit had long seen these devouring demons upset, and suppressed them after they came out. The Lord of 10,000 demons was completely enslaved by him, and became a living target transformed into hundreds of millions of clones, serving as a stepping stone for Dian and even Yanxian. As for the wind demon, he took refuge in the Xuanwu Temple. He was not easy to intervene, but there were a few left. He was prepared to give it a hand, especially the heart demon, a very ambitious guy. Even more so, ambitious and capable. What he fears most is the demons. Although he is very strong, it does not mean he is bold. Zhenling blinked. The heart demon was about to become the master of the heart demon. How could he not be afraid? Magic Sound Mountain. Jian Wushuang didn't know yet because he had devoured the origin of the universe and shocked a man of greatness. For him, the true spirit is indeed heaven, the sky in the temple of Qishan. Even in this long river of time and space outside the original universe, can be called a character in the sky, waved to suppress the existence of the universe, a great figure who inherited the temple of Qishan. In the mysterious space, the flow of time is very exaggerated. The outside world may be just an hour, but 1,000 years have passed here. Call. Jian Wushuang slowly got up and completely digested the origin of the universe. His extreme path became fuller, and the power of all things moved with the wind. Click! Slowly clenched his fist, surrounded by black thunder. This is not the power of the flesh. He uses the power of the origin. His current power has already begun to change and turned into the power of all things, but it is still somewhat incomplete. Unexpectedly, I have mastered a little bit of the power of all things in advance. Hui Qing received the power of reincarnation after accepting the complete inheritance at the beginning. Now he has not practiced any fascination, but has mastered the unique power of all things in the universe. He still knows something about it. The strongest of Wan Daolu can master a little bit of the power of all things at the most extreme. Looking at it this way, his Jidao is very much like an upgraded version of Wan Daolu, which is more stable and stronger than Wan Daolu. Since mastering the extreme way, from the power of thought at the beginning to the power of swallowing, now the power of all things has appeared, which also means that his guess is true. Once Jidao breaks through to the 7th level, he can truly grasp the power of devouring and completely solve the idea of devouring. Moreover, the power of the 7th layer of Jidao will be completely transformed into the power of all things. Now he has only mastered a little. Once he really mastered the power of all things, his strength at that time would probably be stronger than the average emperor. The power of all things. He also heard Xiao Huang mentioned that when he first introduced Wan Daolu, it was just one sentence unintentionally. Unexpectedly, he actually has this ability. It's really interesting. Now, my strength, I'm afraid, I can be invincible in Dian Immortal. And this trial has become a little bit boring. Jian Wushuang was a little bit emotional. He didn't expect that this trip to the body was originally for the super quality body, but as a result, the origin was able to break through, and his extreme Dao had already entered the 6th level. The ultimate Kendo has entered the 7th level. This kind of opportunity I have seen it in my life. Jian Wushuang now has a little confidence in Hadao, although Shanjun said that Hadao is not difficult in the temple of Qishan, he dare not care about it. Awakening is the first step to becoming the strongest. Huaxian and Hadao are all a catastrophe, even with the blessing of top treasures. He dare not be careless. When the last trace of origin was completely integrated, Jian Wushuang's figure also disappeared in the mysterious space. The Shanjun sitting cross-legged in the center slowly got up, staring in his eyes. First, he had doubts about Jian Wushuang, and then regretted the bones on the throne. It's not devouring road. Shanjun was in a trance. He released the skeleton on purpose, so he wanted to see Jian Wushuang's reaction, but Jian Wushuang didn't react at all. But what is the devouring power of Jian Wushuang's body? In the mysterious space, only Shanjun was left wondering. But Jian Wushuang had already been teleported to the top of the trial tower. Here represents the limit and completion. Once the 9 refinements are completed, the body is completely consummation. Although it is not innate consummation, the acquired strength is still ingenious and flawless. In ancient times, when the physical body was emphasized in that era, it was only in that era that there would be the 9 Lian Tianjiao. In today's era, or the Tianjiao in this long river of time and space, he doesn't pay attention to whether the physical body is perfect, because no one will follow the path of the divine body. Too difficult. In ancient times, the flesh and divine bodies of several big beast gods have supported an era, but what is there now? You can't hunt for special beings to strengthen yourself. In the primitive universe, it is not obvious, but if it is in the long river of time and space, the special life is very united. www.novel.com. Although they are not of the same race, they are of the same kind. They are all unique and special beings, and they naturally hug together. This is Chishu's confidence. He has no roots, no source, and no ties. The destruction of the primitive universe has nothing to do with him. The big deal is to run away and go to the long river of time and space. He can still get better. It is simply unrealistic to hunt down special beings and follow the path of the body. Except for this one, there are only treasures of genius left. These things are not big forces. Who can take them out? If you want to accumulate tens of thousands of times the day after tomorrow, the origin of this resource and energy has already broken through. So at the moment, there are very few people who follow the line of the divine body, or even very few. Only special lives will take this path. Practitioners will not choose this path at all. With this courage, it is better to practice the 10,000 Ways school, at least comparable to the ultimate way. The divine body route, surpassing 10,000 times, may not be able to match the ultimate emperor. In general, those who are strong in the origin of the Tao can raise the divine body to 5,000 times at most, enough to bear the origin. If there is more, it is a waste. It does not matter if the divine body is 5,000 times. This is what the practitioners now worry about. Jian Wushuang is different. His origin is extremely strong, and the divine body he needs is also very strong. The strong divine body naturally completes his flesh, and it has to be the ultimate so as to lay a solid foundation. Thousands of treasures are nothing. Compared with the road in the future, this thing is nothing. The improvement of the basic divine body is not a big expense. This is only 4,000 times and 1,000 times higher. I am afraid that the most precious point needed will be several million. The further behind, the more numerous treasures are needed to accumulate. Chapter 5293, breaking through 10,000 times, is even more difficult as reaching the sky. I am afraid that it will take several cosmic secret realms to do it, but those secret realms had long been occupied by special beings. So what would Jian Wushuang trade for? only strong. Trial Tower, the 9th floor. This is a lot different from what Jian Wushuang imagined. It is not a glorious hall, but a thatched house and a broken incense burner. There is still a miserable white smoke from above, which makes the nose very moist, which makes people feel comfortable. After the 8th rehearsal, Jian Wushuang's exterior has returned to a human form, and the scales have faded. This is a phenomenon of returning to ancestors he heard from Shan Jun. As for what it looked like after the 9 Lien, Shan Jun himself couldn't say clearly. It is said to be unique, which may be a unique and special life born in the universe. Jian Wushuang stepped gently, approaching the thatched hut cautiously, with light steps, even willing to step on a piece of thatch. As soon as he stepped into the courtyard, there was an improvement in the identity token. Sit down for a lifetime. Such a reminder made him a little confused. Sitting for a lifetime. This is the 9th exercise. He couldn't believe it. Sit down for a lifetime. Is it a lifetime in this world or a lifetime of his life? Dian Immortal's lifespan is equal to that of heaven and earth. But when he actually walked into the thatched house, everything changed. He is aging at a speed visible to the naked eye, and of course ordinary people can't see it. The structure in the body is being consumed all the time, and he will die within 100 years. This life refers to the life of a mortal. This kind of strange feeling made Jian Wushuang very panicked. He hasn't experienced this kind of feeling yet, and he just sits and waits for death. The flow of time here is much larger, so that his powerful physical body can be consumed so quickly. He could feel that the vitality in his body was disappearing, but the divine body and the origin were growing, and the growth rate was very fast. 100 years can be worth millions of years of cultivation. This is all he needs to sit down without any cultivation. And the divine body is also getting stronger. According to his deduction, it can grow 100-fold in a year. Although it will definitely grow very slowly in the later stage, it can be increased by 1,000 times at least in 100 years. What a miracle! Such a wonderful treasure. If it sits here for 1,000,000 years, it will be worth it. I am afraid that a pig can become a Dian Immortal and even succeed in harmony and reach the top of the emperor's status. This thatched house is definitely the top treasure in the universe. Jian Wushuang was sure in his heart. This is a treasure that transcends the eternal treasure. Even beyond the cosmic copper furnace, Jian Wushuang couldn't understand the origin contained in this thatched house, but could only see the colorful world. That is the origin of space, he knows, but what are the countless circulating lines? He really couldn't understand this. Raising his hand to touch, there is no sensation, and he retracted his hand and disappeared. Can't see, can't touch, can't feel. But when he compares it with his own body, he can see clearly again. Is this? Jian Wushuang's eyes shrink. It's time. The origin of the legendary time. The space corresponds to the emperor. Once the space is completed, he can reach the top of the universe. But the powerhouses on the top of the universe, what is their source of cultivation? The answer is the origin of time. The highest truth of the universe, the flow of time and space is time. This represents the pinnacle. Master space, a universe is under your feet. Master time jumps out of time and space, not in the present, not in the past, or in the future. Those who have escaped, they exist in time. Jian Wushuang never expected that he would encounter the origin of time. The thought of swallowing rose instantly, but he couldn't start. This source was not something he could get involved. The entire Moyin Mountain is probably the most precious of this origin. What Jian Wushuang didn't know was that none of the 9 large spaces in the Trial Tower were in Moyin Mountain. The most precious thing on Moyin Mountain is that cosmic bronze furnace. How could such a precious treasure be placed here? Sitting for a lifetime, 100 years of time, but 100 years later, Jian Wushuang's body was like the bone he had seen in the mysterious space, lost its vitality, and turned into a skeleton. The phantom of the divine body sighed. This life passed quickly, but it was very real because he felt the time at close range. Although it was only 100 years, his ascension was very comprehensive, no less than swallowing that strand of the origin of the universe. The divine body has broken through 5,000 times. And although the increase in the beast-god realm still cannot exceed 10,000 times compared to before, he has become more comfortable in maintaining the beast-god realm. Even using the beast-god realm did not have any burden, but made him happy physically and mentally. Remaining bones, Jian Wushuang's divine body phantom, also left this thatched house. At this time, his body couldn't help being moved by himself, and he had been shaking for a long time before he came to a valley with piles of bones. What he needs to do is to enter the valley to find a new skeleton. According to the prompts on the identity token, he wanted to get the best skeleton. And the price he paid was very high. In this valley, there is a skeleton of 4 colors of gold, silver, copper, and iron. Jian Wushuang slowly stepped into the valley. These bones seemed to have been discarded at will, leaned around like an ancient battlefield. It reminded him of the ancient road of corpses in the wilderness. It's just that these skeletons, each of the masters, probably has the strength of the emperor, and he is also an emperor who specializes in physique. There are also some traces of color on the bones, which are likely to be some special lives or the descendants of beast gods. Jian Wushuang walked in the valley for a day. There were more than 100 golden skeletons, of which only 17 had colored traces. The heavier the colored traces, the stronger. Jian Wushuang also knew this very well. Although they were all dead, the aura above would not disappear, and he could still feel it. Back in the middle, after heavy screening, he selected a skeleton with colored traces like lines, which run through the whole body of the skeleton. Jian Wushuang believes in his own vision this skeleton is the most suitable for him. Whether it is the best is not the key, but the key is fit. As for the price, he squinted. Very primitive. Fight. Without absolute strength, wanting to get a skeleton is simply wishful thinking. Although the masters of these skeletons were probably plundered by the strong of the Qixin Temple. As a respect for the strong, the Qixin Temple also laid down rules, fighting at the same level and plundering by the winners. Loser. He is not eligible for bones at all. From the moment Jian Wushuang chose, a ghost of gods and demons appeared on the selected bones. His appearance is fascinating. This is the most beautiful body Jian Wushuang has ever seen. It can't distinguish between genders. The whole body is smooth, like white jade. There are no ears, or that his ears are very big. They are still in the shape of a diamond horn, but there are no gaps inside, just like ornaments. Chapter 52, 94. His eyes are also red with white background, very bright and clear. 9 revolutions. A smile leaked from the corner of Jian Wushuang's mouth. Among the same rank, he really hasn't been afraid of a few. At the time of the Nineth rank Dian, immortal, Hui Qing might have been stronger than him in the entire universe for a while, but he was not better than he is now. Human Dai? The phantom above the bones became solid in an instant. Although it was turn 9, his speed surpassed the average half-step emperor. For a moment, Jian Wushuang didn't dare to be careless, and he rose into the air with an angry shout. The huge candle dragon's wings cover the sky and the sun, and the figure has reached hundreds of thousands of miles away in the shaking. Just take you and try the 7th level of my ultimate way. Jian Wushuang's phantom also condensed into reality. A quaint long sword, without front and sheath, flew out instantly. Jian Wushuang grasped it, and when he looked up at the starry sky, A powerful aura rose into the sky. Curse! Earth prisoner! Kill me! Jian Wushuang's figure soared, and one piece came out, and a huge phantom fell in the sky. This was a cage, and it was a punishment from the sky to drop from the sky. The prisoner must die. Skeleton humanoid, horrified eyes. Although he has fallen a long time ago, he still has a little will. This group of will is preserved just to deal with those challengers. For countless years, he has also received many challenges, but every time he wins. In the same rank, his combat power has already touched the invincible level, whether it is Dian, Immortal, or Emperor. Of course, if it is a strong man at the peak of the universe or a sixth-order emperor, it is hard to say. After all, it is just a group of preserved consciousness, and its strength is limited. If that kind of character really fell in love with this skeleton, I am afraid that the senior officials of the Temple of Qixin will take it out and exchange it fairly with the strong one. Boom! As soon as the Heaven Punishment Sword came out, it imprisoned the entire Earth. The skeletal phantom was instantly wiped out in unwillingness. Although he has half a step of the Emperor's combat power, facing the current Jian Wushuang, he is not qualified to resist. 1 times divine body, ultimate way, extreme way. No matter what it is, they have achieved a level of crushing on Banba Dijuan. After obliterating the last silk mark, that skeleton was Jian Wushuang's. Swish! The 2 figures of Jian Wushuang and skeleton entered the deepest part of the 9th layer of space, because next was the core of the 9 Lien. Jian Wushuang had no shortage of flesh and blood power, and the most suitable bones were also obtained. The flesh body that had reached the level of immortality instantly condensed again. That old and dead bone was nothing to him. On the 9th floor, above, is a huge palace. Outside the hall door, there was a portrait hanging, and the figure above Jian Wushuang didn't know him, but when he saw the signature, his heart trembled suddenly. Shortage! This is the name of a god. Although Jian Wushuang hadn't heard of it before, for the most powerful man in the universe, with just 1 word, he was completely transparent, and then he respectfully worshipped and did not dare to look directly at him. After entering the hall, a familiar bronze furnace was placed there. It's really inseparable from this cosmic copper furnace. After Jian Wushuang saw the copper furnace, he let out a sigh, and his whole body relaxed. Only this time, there was no Shanjian's shadow above the copper furnace of the universe, and he had to do everything himself. The moment he entered the cosmic copper furnace with the skeleton, he felt the breathtaking temperature, which was more than 100 times stronger than the outer cosmic copper furnace. As soon as he entered, he used the power of all things to stabilize himself in his divine body. The flesh and blood of the flesh were instantly evaporated. He has no skeleton. The last step of the 9 exercises is to change the bones. The previous step is to reincarnate, and now is to change the bones. This is how the real acquired limit comes. How many innate gods and demons squeezed their heads and wanted to cultivate the origin Tao, but their ancestors were too stupid to create methods to cultivate the origin Tao. In the early days, ancient Xiu found out the structure of ancient gods and demons and created super-quality flesh. This 9 refining tower is one of them. The day after tomorrow represents the future. Jian Wushuang was not born when he was born, which does not mean that he will not be in the future. Divine body, phantom, flesh and blood, and skeleton are all in one, and the difficulty is so great that only Jian Wushuang knows it. The universe copper furnace slowly closed. Jian Wushuang closed his eyes, and he couldn't make a mistake, and he couldn't afford to make a mistake in the last step. Boom! When he completed the last step, earth-shaking changes had taken place on Moyne Mountain. The originally dark mountain suddenly turned into white snow, and heavy snow fell from the sky. Shanjian's body, pulling the chain, looked at the sky. Boom! The figures of Zhenling and Zhu Yi appeared out of thin air, without even tearing the space. They arrived at Moyne Mountain in an instant. With this method, Zhenling alone can do it. Even a powerful person like Zhu Yi can't do it. If the Fifth Order Emperor wants to reach the Magic Mountain, he needs to use the formation to move. Congratulations, Master True Spirit. The secret method is complete. Zhu Yi smiled and complimented. However, the True Spirit did not speak with a smile and did not wait for Zhu Yi to take one step and was directly on the top of the mountain. The dozens of emperors on the mountainside have reached 6,000 battles, but they can't feel anyone passing by at all, but they feel an irreversible aura from the top of the mountain, which makes their moods change greatly. WWW. Novel. Zhu Yi followed the figure behind, turning into a streamer and breathing, and went to the top of the mountain. This time everyone felt the breath. It's over. I'm afraid something big will happen to this mountaintop. Many emperors began to worry, and they had just opened the road. As a result, two powerful auras suddenly appeared on the mountain. One suffocated them, and the other made them afraid to move, and they had no idea of resisting. How strong is this? The one who has little knowledge thought it was a Fifth Order Emperor, like Fenyu Demon with more knowledge. At the beginning, it was decided that the two who just went up were at least the Sixth Order Emperor, and one of them was still a Sixth Order Emperor. In the sixth rank, the Peak Emperor. There are more people in shallow water, but less knowledge. They couldn't see through or figure out these things, so they could only stop and dare not move forward. The top of the mountain, the True Spirit came, and Zhu Qi, who had sent Jian Wushuang earlier, hurried up the mountain. I have seen Master True Spirit. I have seen the Lord of the Palace. Zhu Qi bowed to see him, not daring to look up. It's just that the eyeballs are turning steadily, wanting to take a look at Shanjun. The True Spirit, standing in the forefront, with a kind face, hurriedly stepped forward and helped Zhu Qi up. He patted her on the shoulder and said in a gentle voice, "It's all my own. No need to be polite. By the way, who did you send to this Magic Sound Mountain?" Zhenling asked knowingly. Zhu Qi may not know what is going on, but Zhu Yi knows the True Spirit very well, frowning slightly. But for a time, he really couldn't think of any good tricks. It seems that the Magic Sound Mountain cannot be kept today, but even so, she can't make the real spirit cheap and can't make him too easy. And she will always be like this in the future, and she will find a reason to move things in her primitive world at will. After a few years, the 4 halls will really be emptied. Chapter 52, 95. Before Zhu Qi could speak, Zhu Yi first said, "Zhu Qi sent a little guy into the 9 refining pagoda, on my order." This incident was indeed an order from her. When Qiu Huang reported back, she was also a little shocked. She didn't expect that some of these dying immortals would come to the 9 refining pagodas. You must know that the threshold to enter the 9 pagodas is the 10,000 times divine body. Among these inheritors of the dying immortal, there is only one 10,000 times divine body, which is a special life. On the contrary, among the dying immortals plundered from other universes, there are several practitioners Wanbei divine body. When they plundered them, the Fifth Order emperors all dispatched a number of them, but they were still plundered by her. It is not uncommon to see the 10,000-fold divine body of special life. In every universe, several unique special lives will be born. There are special lives of flesh and blood, rocks, plants, and even liquid types. These special beings are 10,000 times divine body. This is not uncommon. They are 10,000 times after birth. Their bodies are naturally extremely powerful, and there is no need to go to the 9 pagodas. She was also shocked when she heard that Jian Wushuang was about to enter the 9 refinement pagodas. Later, when she thought that Jian Wushuang had beasts and magic weapons was the ultimate way, she figured it out. She wasn't the old-fashioned Qiu Huang. She realized Jian Wushuang's ambition after another thought, and ordered Zhu Qi to send Jian Wushuang to this Moyin mountain. Now it seemed that the matter was on this, but I didn't know whether it was Shanjun or Jian Wushuang that had the problem. Without a trace of the origin of the universe, this matter is not big or small. I really want to investigate. Zhu Qi is probably going to suffer this time. If you don't want to be punished, then you have to hand Moyin Mountain to others. This time, I was in a dilemma, and Moyin Mountain wanted to keep Zhu Qi in it, but it was not enough. Zhenling smiled even more and turned to look at Zhu Yi. Oh, I see. If that's the case, then who did the missing strand of the universe's origin on the Moyin Mountain? Zhenling stared at Zhu Yi, not even looking at the shackled Shanjun. Did she do it? Zhenling pointed at Zhu Qi. His face turned cold, and his aura was rising. Then he pointed at Shanjun and said coldly, "It's still this dirty reptile." Zhu Yi's expression was cold. She had been sitting at the core of the primordial realm, arranging trials, and there knew what was going on here. Faced with Zhenling's reprimand, she didn't look good. Shanjun's eyes were scarlet, and he bit his fangs and roared, "I did it, dead old man. What do you want to do?" He didn't expect that giving Jian Wushuang that strand of the origin of the universe would cause such a catastrophe that even the true spirit would come by himself. But he can't say that Jian Wushuang did it, because Zhenling doesn't believe it either. Moreover, the true spirit is bound to report. This time the 8 achievements are for him, or for Zhu Yi. Without the shelter of the Vermilion Bird Palace, his life would be difficult. Zhenling's swaying fingers kept pointing at Shanjun, and roared, "It's not your turn to speak here. Shut up." A flash of starlight penetrated Shanjun's body in an instant, causing his breath to drop abruptly. Just a finger made his strength drop by 30%. If you really do it, I'm afraid that you can kill him with a single blow. Even Shanjun, with this kind of strength, has leaked horrified eyes. And I really dare not say a word for a while. Zhu Qi on the side hurriedly knelt down, trying to plead with Shanjun, but Zhu Yi stopped it. Pleading is now seeking death, and there is no longer a handle to fall into the hands of the true spirit. Zhu Qi, there is nothing wrong with you here. What are you doing here? Let's go. Zhu Yi roared, but his eyes were fixed on the true spirit. This time it seemed to be a real play, and it was really not at all sentimental. Let Zhu Qi go now to protect her. If you don't go, you will have to go to jail with Shanjun. The real spirit's eyes flashed, the aura flashed, and his voice was low and said, "This time, forget it, but remember, the things in the temple of the gods are all left by the great gods in the ancient times, not your own. Understand?" Yet, Zhu Qi was sent down the mountain. On the top of the mountain, the cold wind was icy. A heavy snow fell suddenly. The reason why the magic mountain is black is actually because of the origin in the copper furnace of the universe, and now the origin has been given away by him. And the earth fire is gone. Moyin Mountain has returned to what it used to be. Shanjun also prefers the current Moyin Mountain, which is covered with snow, just like the first time he met Zhu Qi. Seeing Zhu Qi descend the mountain, Shanjun also let go of his heart. The rest he carries, it doesn't matter. He will go to the 3rd prison in a big deal. Anyway, there is not much threat to him. As long as the strength is completely restored, maybe the days are more comfortable than now. Zhenling's eyes are fierce. How can he not know what Shanjun plans? Stolen to the origin of the temple of the gods, Shanjun, you are punishable for your sins. If you have the same origin with the old master, you will spare your life, but you will not escape your sins. I will send you to the 2nd prison and serve a 10,000 epoch. As soon as the voice fell, let alone Shanjun, even Zhu Yi was shocked. The 2nd prison, 10,000 era, didn't this let Shanjun die? It's no different from death. She would never forget what was being held in the 2nd prison. Those things she would rather die than want them to come out. Compared with those who exist, Shanjun, such a demon lord, is a little doll. You old fellow, there is a kind of kill me now. Why bother to calculate this way? Shanjun knew the true spirit's killing intent and was not afraid, so he cursed at the moment. When Junling stood aside, he enjoyed it very much, and his eyes were very proud, turning his head to look at Zhu Yi, and then said, Hall Master Zhu Yi, you have no objections. Zhu Yi, who was staring at the Harry, shook his head quickly and didn't dare to say more. Also, this magic mountain, I will personally send it to the 4 secret realms and leave it to the Senate Palace to take care of it. You have no objection, right? Zhu Yi gritted her teeth and shook her head again. However, she suddenly realized that there was one person inside. She was unwilling to give up hope. She immediately said, My lord, there are still people in Mine Mountain. When the little guy finishes his trial, I will know Mine Mountain was sent to the 4 secret realms. It can be delayed for a while, in case there is a change. On Mine Mountain, in addition to the big clock, there is also a treasure of the universe. Although that treasure is connected to the 9 pagodas, it is a complete treasure of the universe anyway, not reconciled. You don't need to worry about that. When he comes out, I will send him back. The true spirit is determined to take back Mine Mountain. Now that the Senate Palace is established, there is no shortage of manpower, but there is a shortage of treasures. Lack of the treasure that wins over the hearts of the people. And there are more than 10,000 emperors on the Mine Mountain. It was only at this moment that the 2 of them remembered that there are still tens of thousands of emperors on the mountain, and they will migrate to other time and space in the future. Those who are unfamiliar with their lives and places need a lot of manpower. They didn't plan to bring these emperors, but now they seem to have to bring them. As the saying goes, 2 birds with 1 stone not only retracted Mine Mountain, but also sent so many emperors to the Yuan Lao Palace, by the way. Chapter 52, 96. On the snowy white trail, countless emperors looked up at the top of the mountain. The breath just made them dare not move. A ray of shock shocked the world, and the power of the world lifted the entire Mine Mountain. What kind of power is this? How do I feel Mine Mountain is moving? Mobile. The few Tier 4 peak emperors walking in the forefront couldn't help but tremble. A mountain road on Mine Mountain is extremely difficult, and someone can actually move Mine Mountain. What a powerful strength it must be. The space changes, the stars move. The true spirit on the top of the mountain is very happy. Moving Mine Mountain was too simple for him. It was a matter of raising his hand. A treasure mountain was moved by him to the 4 secret realms, the most central zone, the core of Qishan Temple. The 4 secret realms are superimposed on each other. At the top is the secret realm of heaven, with a vast area. In addition to the vast and endless waves of Shenlu, there are also countless planets and lands suspended in the sky. The civilization here is considered to have inherited the legacy of the ancient times. There are many sects, and the strength is very powerful. Otherwise, the White Tiger Hall, one of the 4 halls, would not be so tired. Below the secret realm of heaven is the secret realm of Earth Store. The underground secret realm below is more than the heavens, and most of the mortals still live in the tribal era and are even more ancient. Even on some grounds, you can still see ancient gods and demons running. Unlike the heavens, the secret realm of Xitigarbha is a whole. The layout of the realm is more like a universe, with countless realms separated. From a distance, the 4 secret realms are divided into 4 floors, like a pavilion. The human world is on the 3rd level, a magnificent universe with many galaxies and planets in it. The most convenient is the secret realm of the gods, or the tomb of the gods. the cemetery of the gods. In the past, the great secret realms could not break the barriers to go to the tombs of the gods, but the power in the tombs of the gods was too strong, and the rules of the original operation started to give birth to some powerful special beings. Some of these special beings were able to break the barriers when they were cultivated to the peak, flee into other secret realms. The powerhouses of other secret realms also followed the loopholes and sneaked into the tombs of the gods, looking for the legend, mystery of the gods, that has been circulated in all circles. At that time, the White Tiger Palace and the spirit guards were all dispatched, and none of them were able to catch that special life. In the end, the trace was found in the Forest of 10,000 Treasures. The White Tigers and the spirit guards were unable to suppress that existence in the end, and even fell to a sixth-order emperor. And in the end, the true spirit himself took the initiative to suppress the opponent. For the indigenous powerhouse of the Temple of Chi, the true spirit is still kind, and will not suppress it if it is not too outrageous. But the other party broke the barrier and allowed the four secret realms to ventilate each other, so they couldn't stay. Now that the four secret realms can shuttle between each other, the tombs of the gods are about to become the back gardens of the indigenous emperors, which is not bad. True Spirit personally suppressed the opponent and was sent to the second prison. When he bowed his head, and when he came out, he would always be in the second prison if he didn't bow his head. Space shock. Although the true spirit had escaped from the space, it would still cause a lot of shocks if he wanted to forcefully enter the four secret realms. If it is a sixth-order emperor who wants to enter the four great secret realms, he cannot enter at all except the teleportation array. Only the real spirit is strong enough to break through. Having just entered the heaven realm, one of the four great secret realms, the White Tiger Palace was stationed in the empty temple and rushed over in an instant. Bump! The temple door opened. A tiger helmet warrior with a white armor stepped out of it. His momentum is different from that of the other three halls. A murderous air came out from his eyes. After seeing the true spirit, he was neither humble nor overbearing, but just nodded slightly among the four main halls. If you really want to talk about who is the most powerful, it is not the Xuanwu of the outer hall, but the core White Tiger. They are in charge of the four secret realms, and they have taken into custody of how many strong people. For countless years, there have been a lot of sixth-order emperors. When the gods were finding them, many protector gods were left in the White Tiger Hall, and each one was a Tier 6 top combat power. Moreover, the Lord of the White Tiger Palace still had a treasure of the universe in his hand, once beheaded along with the ranks. The combat power is extremely tough. I am afraid that only the Qinglong Palace Master can fight with him. Neither Zhu Yi nor Xian Yi are opponents. But when it comes to treasures and methods, the two of them are no match for Zhu Yi and Xian Yi. The Xuanwu Temple has established several old nests, and the built inside are as solid as gold, and the Lord of the Universe may not be able to break through it. They are the first portal of the Temple of Qishan. In general, the four halls each perform their duties. Each has its own strengths. It is the Palace of the Elders, nothing good, a group of defeated generals. At the beginning, like a bereaved dog, I don't know why it was so valued by the true spirit. Seeing that Bai looked bad. Zhenling wanted to say a few more words. Since that's the case, it's better not to say it. With a light snorted, Zhenling left here with a flash of Zhu Yi's figure. The secret realm of heaven is extremely wide. Even the emperor can't cross it. Only the strongest, like Zhenling, can shuttle freely. The base camp of the Senate Palace was arranged by the real spirit in the center of the heaven. Yuanyang Lake. This is a good place. In the ancient times, the Yuanyang Lake moved in from a core of the universe, but an extraordinary existence was born. Lord of Yuanyang. Later, he was led by the Lord of Desolation to be beheaded, and even his lair moved into the temple of Qishan. After entering Yuanyang Lake, Zhen Ling stretched out his palm, and a small hill floated out with snowflakes floating above it. The hill flew out of the hands of the true spirit, instantly turned into billions of battles, and landed lightly on an uninhabited island. Although Yuanyang Lake is a lake, its real area is larger than that of Desiyu. There are only a few people in Yuanyang Palace, and there are naturally a lot of vacant places. Moyanshan made a lot of movement, and soon a middle-aged Taoist wearing a senior executive came. When he saw the person coming, the middle-aged Taoist took a breath, swallowed, and it was too late to leave. The person here is the named disciple Wuzhua of Qishan. After following the White Tiger Palace to open up wasteland for a period of time, I saw the Senate Palace rise and immediately transferred to the Senate Palace. With his identity as a disciple of the gods, he has not only gained a lot of benefits, but also completely restored his strength. Although there is no token in the Yuan Palace, other people respect him because of his identity. He has a feeling of going back to the past. Now, seeing the real spirit coming, she instantly withered. He had seen this true spirit's method before, and he even dared to move the 4 great halls, let alone a named disciple who was abolished. By the way, the true spirit abolished his status as a named disciple. Little Wuzhua, what are you running? I've seen this seat, but I still don't see you. Zhen Ling stared at Wuzhua playfully. At that time, the gods fell, and the other gods sat and were buried. Even the emperor fell asleep. The disciples of Qishan. Except for Wuzhua, who took the lead and fell one after another, there is only Wuzhua, which is an ill-intentioned thing. When he was left alone, he still had the face to come back. What's even more shameless was that he wanted to take the opportunity to control the temple of Qishan. Chapter 52:97. He threw it out directly and threw it into the outer hall without taking care of it. Now he has changed his wit, and he is still very pleased to switch to the palace of the elders. After Wuzhua heard the words of the true spirit, he quickly put away the big snake under his feet and bowed to meet and said, "Wuzhua, see Lord True Spirit." The other elders in the Yuan Palace saw this scene and were even more convinced that Wuzhua's identity was dazzling, and he would definitely be reused in the future, and he had to be treated with care in the future. Those who can see the true spirit are some type veterans. Among them is the horned old man, Sheep Sanmu, a famous hero who sat down in the past. He was powerful in combat and could refine the most treasures. Although he was only tier 5, his identity was very detached. Well, I'm here, and there is nothing to do. This magic sound mountain will be handed over to you in the future. The primordial realm has arduous tasks, and the Yuan Lao Palace has just been established. It should be shared with you. The true spirit said the righteousness, and then pointed out the emptiness. Look at what is happening in the Northern Territory. If you want to share the worries of the White Tiger Palace, you should take action. The Northern Territory will be completely managed by you from now on. Next time I come back, it won't look like this scene. The scene drawn by the true spirit is the entire northern realm of the secret realm of heaven, where wars are everywhere and countless strong men are dying. In fact, this kind of thing is normal. If there is no danger of falling, there will be many people in the secret realm of heaven. He just wanted to take the opportunity to beat the White Tiger Palace, and with a wave of his hand, he allocated 1/5 of the chassis of the heavens to the Senate Palace. Bai Hudian mainly knew that he would definitely be to death. If this veteran's palace was really a veteran who had ever followed the gods, the 4 main halls would not be so opposed. What kind of people are there now in the Palace of the Elders? A group of stinky fish and shrimps. The veterans who used to be at the top of the letter A have not recovered, and they have recovered these things to fight for power. These revived emperors were also in a trance, seeming to say that they were negligent in their duties, but turned around and gave them a large area. Yes, the subordinates are sure to live up to the Lord, true spirit belong. Everyone bends all at once. Their faces are serious, and the coke blossoms in their hearts. The entire northern border, there were only a few of them, and thousands of them died. The entire Northern Territory is now theirs, supported by true spirit. Management? What a shit. To put it nicely is to manage this site, but to put it awkwardly, it is to search. The disobedient will be destroyed directly, and the obedient will have to give the treasure to the resource. There are a lot of sixth-order emperors in such a northern realm. These people are not good at strength, but they have an imperial ranking, and it is not a problem to suppress them. In the Palace of the Elders, there are also several sixth-order emperors, all of whom are strong in ancient times. They are not afraid. They couldn't fight, and there was real spirit for them. Boom. The people who were really inspired by the White Tiger Temple were coming here, and before they arrived, they directly pulled out the entire demon suppression pillar from the demon mountain with a wave of hands. This scene not only shocked the emperor on the mountain, but even the veterans from the outside world trembled. The great masters of the ancient times are no more than this strength. How much strength did the true spirit inherit from the of the gods? And it can be as strong as that. The demon suppression pillar is in the hands of the true spirit, just like a plaything. The chain broke directly. Shan Jun's body just lost his sense of restraint. The next moment, the real spirit pinched it in his hand. The emperor on Moin Mountain, after they go down the mountain, they will all be admitted to the Senate Palace. As for him to be sent to the second prison, this matter is left to you. Zhen Ling threw the rebound Shan Jun to Wu Zhuo with one hand. Yes, Wu Zhuo bowed his orders. The person in front of you is also an acquaintance. He even had friendships with several demon masters back then, and now that the sun and the moon are changing into a new sky, these demon masters who were stripped from the gods have all fallen to this end. Back then, the gods said that they must be kind and not let go to harm other universes. Now he was thrown into the second prison as a disciple of Qixin. Wu Zhuo was naturally aware of the prison, and the danger inside made him tremble. By the way, there is still a dying immortal inheritor in Moin Mountain. After he finishes his trial, remember to send me to the primitive realm intact. Zhen Ling looked at Zhu Yi and smiled lightly. This can be regarded as giving Zhu a face. Zhu Yichang took a breath, but had to bow down, and thank you. Eat dry, a whole magic sound mountain. That's how it was given to the Yuan Elder's palace, and only gave her a 9th rank Dian immortal. She really wants to thank Zhen Ling, but unfortunately she is not strong enough. Otherwise she really wants to thank you. My lord, rest assured, I will personally escort. Wu Zhuo took a big deal, not only to send Lord Shan to the second prison, but also to send a Dian immortal. He had to go personally. Well, I'll go back. As soon as Zhen Ling turned around, he flashed away and disappeared as soon as he saw the temple of the White Tiger Temple. When Bai Yi arrived, Wu's was straightened up with a look of arrogance. Jian Wushuang didn't know anything about the outside world. He didn't know that Shan Jun, who had great favor to him, entered the second prison, nor did he know what the second prison meant. Don't know. Now he has reached the core of Qixin Temple. In the outside world, there is a group of top emperors waiting for him. Inside the universe copper furnace, the scorching temperature is just a glimpse. www.novel. Once Jian Wushuang has completed the 9 refinements, if there is no suitable cosmic source injection, the cosmic copper furnace will not be used. A moment outside. This is 1,000 years. Thousands of years have exhausted Jian Wushuang's power. The origin is beginning to dry up, and the physical body is still a little bit short of it. The most difficult thing is to reborn. The first 8 exercises were all about preparing for reincarnation. Although this is the last exercise, it is also the most difficult. The skeleton that possesses the lines, combined with his flesh and blood power, is condensing little by little. The combination of the two is success. It's over. The beast god realm will hold on for another year, at most. The original source is exhausted, and the power of all things is just a little bit, and it has been used up long ago. Jian Wushuang forcibly inspires the origin, and the power of such a strong origin is not enough. Then his emperor has no hope of completing the 9 exercises before. The basic divine body is not enough. If the basic divine body is enough 10,000 times, he does not need to use the beast domain. Fortunately before, the temperature in the copper furnace of the universe was not too high, and it gradually persisted, especially after the origin breakthrough. Using the beast god realm, he became even more comfortable. Entering the cosmic copper furnace, this time allowed him to discover his weakness. He used to be relatively comfortable, but now once he has improved so much, he can no longer bear it. This is like when he is fighting Dian Immortal. He can use the beast god realm to consume at will, but if he is really against God, I am afraid that the other party uses the space origin to forcibly squeeze his beast god realm at all. Damn it! Jian Wushuang couldn't help roaring. The beast god realm began to become unstable, and the divine body began to waver. The physical body is really tempered, but the phantom of the divine body begins to collapse, falling off a little bit, and it will eventually collapse. Quicker. Chapter 5298. Jian Wushuang's eyes were fixed on the flesh. As long as the flesh is completed and he returns again, he can rely on the flesh to resist. But now there is still some distance between the physical body. It will take at least 10 years for the distance to be complete, but he can't wait now, and if this continues, he is in danger of falling. Then I can only give up. After spending so much effort, half of the treasures that were finally exchanged were thrown into the cosmic copper furnace. He was not reconciled. Many cracks appeared on the divine body. I can't manage that much. He was ready to break the boat. Broken divine body, broken flesh, the two are combined. I really don't know what will happen. Jian Wushuang forcibly merged into one, regardless of the damage of the two, directly merged into one. Perfect fit. Also, this is his physical body. If it doesn't fit together, that's weird. The two shattered, swallowed each other, and merged. Call. Jian Wushuang let out a sigh. The divine body was finally not damaged, but the physical body was not yet completed. He merged the divine body and the origin, but the order was wrong. The reason why the physical body has to be carried out alone is because it is afraid that the will of the inheritor will not be able to stand it. The supercar body is indestructible, but when the will is destroyed, people are gone. Jian Wushuang didn't know this point. He just breathed a sigh of relief, and the flame of tempering his flesh fell from the sky, tempering with the original source and divine body he had just merged. The scorching sensation is millions of times higher than the temperature in the copper furnace. In an instant, his divine body collapsed, and the source was also extinguished. Death is only in an instant. His willpower was fairly good, and he didn't break it in a single blow, but the flames continued to temper, and he couldn't stop it for a moment. Do not! Jian Wushuang roared, but his will disengaged from the whole body like a disobedient. Detached. There are 2 types. A kind of detachment in space and matter. Once it succeeds, it is to escape from the existence of the universe. The other is death. This time Jian Wushuang was obviously dead and detached. The origin is exhausted, the divine body collapses, and what is the use of a flesh body? Will slowly fade. In front of me, the scenes turned around. Are you going to die? Jian Wushuang didn't dare to blink. He didn't want to let go of every scene. That was what he once wanted to protect. There are Taoists, masters, brothers, and the world he wants to guard. After he entered the temple of Qishan, he forgot about these things, or he took the initiative to give up because he wanted to walk the way of God. Those who have become emperors since ancient times should get rid of common past events. Before his fall, he did not expect that what he remembered was not the road to becoming an emperor, but the precious things. Xian Yi, Lao Zun, goodbye forever. Death and death. The will completely collapsed. Jian Wushuang was outside for tens of thousands of years. The time for cultivation is an acceleration of time even more incalculable. In the starry sky alone, he has cultivated for hundreds of millions of years. The memory drifted away, and at the moment Dao Xue, a piece of true spirit, floated into the sea of origin of the Qishan universe. Qishan Temple, the Sea of Origin. In the Heart Sea Palace, the true spirit who had just returned, after a little investigation, found Jian Wushuang's fall. Happy in my heart, Jian Wushuang has swallowing power in his body. He has never figured out whether it is the inheritance that was lost by the body that was acquired by this kid. It was this kid who figured it out on his own. No matter what kind of possibility, he didn't want to see Jian Wushuang continue to be strong. No matter which step you get, even if you become the master of the universe, you will eventually fall. Why waste so many opportunities? Although the true spirit did not like Jian Wushuang, he also regretted that the ultimate way, the 10,000 times divine body and the supergrade physical body were obviously completed, and he had to go to the 9 exercises, and now he has fallen, no wonder anyone. Such a Tianjiao, if it were not for the power of swallowing, he would have treated it specially just like Hui Qing did. However, in his view, Hui Qing's potential is still not weaker than Jian Wushuang. Hui Qing's foundation is more solid. This is because of the reasons of the previous life, and the ultimate way of cultivation is the Zen machine. In the future, the emperor will be one of the most difficult and terrifying emperors, and it is comparable to the spiritual practitioners. Zen machine, good at deduction. Hui Qing's divine body is not weak, and the treasures of the Qishan temple will be smashed down, and the battle strength will move forward with the deduction, and the emperor will be generous and glorious. Even if you can't reach the top, you can dominate one side among the emperors in the future. Just like the sword fairy, who used to be the invincible emperor, the emperor-level powerhouse is a sword in front of her. Compared with these characters, Jian Wushuang is a strong man who has not risen. Fall is also fate. In the Heart Sea Palace, Zhenling waved his hand, and time stood still. He wanted to see when Jian Wushuang had mastered the extreme way. One timeline is the life of Jian Wushuang. A strong person who has not escaped time is a line in his life. The picture is flipped. In the great wilderness, Jian Wushuang was the one behind the palace, blocking the emperor's remnant thoughts. On the Bone Road, he fell into siege by an army of corpses again. I also saw Hui Qing at that time. He even saw Hui Qing awakening and contending with Jiu Zhuan. Time went by little, until the moment Jian Wushuang awakened his mind. Yep. Zhenling looked at the large timeline in the middle. No matter how you dragged it, the screen was still. However, in terms of time, there is a very long one. When it was pulled to the end, the screen started to move. It was a scene of several monks going to death. What happened in the middle? This time Zhenling was shocked. He actually couldn't see the middle process. Obviously, there is a big timeline for hundreds of millions of years. It is impossible to check it. Did Jian Wushuang escape time? This is simply impossible. A Dayan immortal jumped out of time. The true spirit can't believe it, and doesn't want to believe it. At the beginning, the gods were not able to break away from the timeline, and if they were truly out of the timeline, they would not fall away. There are also some treasures that can be separated from the timeline in a small area, such as in the Heartsea Palace. No, this sun can't fall yet. The true spirit immediately got up, personally manipulated the Xinhai temple, and collected Jian Wushuang's true spirit fragments into the palace and put them into a green vial. Then he sat cross-legged in front of the chess and cards again, mobilize the entire universe, and stimulate the power of the Heartsea Palace. Based on Jian Wushuang's true spirit fragments, he could find out the long timeline and see what happened in it. If Jian Wushuang could really jump out of the timeline, he had to suspect that Jian Wushuang was the reincarnation of a certain great figure. It is also possible to look at strength. Rank 9 Dayan Immortal can actually rival the Emperor, powerful in all directions, 5,000 times the divine body. The pillar of origin is stronger than that of the Emperor. If that was the case, he would have to change his view of Jian Wushuang, and he would not be able to suppress it at that time, and he would have to make a confession. Out of the timeline, this kind of character, I haven't seen many of them in the past. Big shot. Zhenling took a breath, and then turned out the timeline. It is indeed a jump in time. That is a starry sky, very beautiful, intoxicating. Starry Sky Catalog, Chapter 5299. Zhenling rubbed his chin. It looks like a broad starry sky map, but when Jian Wushuang is in it, this starry sky map is more like the whole world. At the end, Zhenling couldn't help taking a breath. The starry sky actually existed, jumping out of time and space to see the whole world with a piece of paper. What a method is this, so terrifying. The picture rotates abruptly. In the endless starry sky, the universe is full of gravel, and the pulse of time and space is extremely small. While Zhenling was still looking down, in the endless starry sky, one eye suddenly opened, and the huge eyes stared at Zhenling's small mung-bean eyes. Zhenling was shocked directly, and he hurriedly swiped the screen, but couldn't quit. Thump! Zhenling was directly scared and sat on the ground. What is that? Senior, Junior has no intention to disturb. I couldn't tell the truth, so I knelt down and bowed quickly. A look in the universe shocked the entire universe. If it weren't for the suppression of the supreme treasure of the Heartsea Palace, the origin of the universe would have collapsed. When the real spirit raised his head again, that eye slowly closed again. The owner of the eyes is like the void of positive films. With the strength of the true spirit, it is impossible to see its true body. After that eye disappeared completely, he breathed a sigh of relief. Unknowingly, a cold sweat came out from behind. He didn't dare to look at Jian Wushuang's timeline anymore, and quickly took out the fragments from the bottle and sent them back to Moyin Mountain. After doing all this, Zhenling rearranged the Heartsea Hall, completely isolating all space and time, and immediately transmitted the sound to Xian Yi. Some real spirits who couldn't wait even opened the Heartsea Palace directly without hesitating to consume the origin of the universe, and directly moved Xian Yi directly. Xian Yi, who was still studying puppets, suddenly felt bad when he looked up and found that he had reached the Heartsea Palace. Seeing the anxious appearance of the real spirit, you know that something big has happened. The two talked for a long time. This time, the conversation was extremely secret, with the blessing of the Heartsea Temple. Even if it was an existence that escaped the timeline, it could not be viewed. In this way, the true spirit also felt unsafe. Since seeing that eye, he always felt cold behind his back, and felt that it was not safe in the palace of Heartsea. The conversation with Xian Yi was also extremely nervous, and he was more cautious when talking about Jian Wushuang. The owner of that eye is definitely stronger than the existence of the gods who had escaped the timeline when they saw it. Really? Xian Yi couldn't believe it. Keep your voice down. Pay attention to your manners. Zhenling waved his hand quickly to signal Xian Yi to keep a low profile, but Xian Yi, who was sitting there, was silent and lost in thought. When the predecessor found him, he did say that a strongest person in this world was about to be born. But that strong person, according to the information description, is not Jian Wushuang. Could it be that there are two strong men, or that the predecessor has short-sightedness? This is obviously impossible. That predecessor is also an existence that has escaped the timeline. He predicted that in the future there will be a catastrophe of heaven and earth when an extraordinary existence will be born, and it will be necessary for practitioners to be buried in the whole time and space to create that existence. Xian Yi is a real tortoise. His eyes are very similar to those of the real spirit, and the mung bean eyes keep spinning. Turtle Snake, what do you think? What did that senior say back then? The true spirit is anxious and a little impatient. Xian Yi woke up suddenly and patted the chessboard again. I seem to understand that when the senior came to this world, I am afraid he had a foreboding that today he used my name to leave a clone in every domain of this universe and cultivated many strong people. You can check the timeline of those dying immortals, and that predecessor is also arranging cause and effect. Zhenling frowned and said, Xian. In a low voice, a brother Dian appeared in front of him and kept flipping through the timeline. Finally, he shook his head and said in a deep voice, only in Jian Wushuang's memory, one named Xian Yi had some problems, but the others didn't match up. There was a small concubine named Xian Yi of Dian Immortal, which is unlikely. But there is one thing that I don't quite understand. This existence can obviously jump out of the timeline and cover his own past. Why can I still see it? Zhenling said the doubt in his heart. Perhaps he expected it too. The conversation between the two stopped abruptly. If this is the case, he has to consider whether to throw Jian Wushuang out. This is a disaster. In the future, Didao will take a long river of time to bury him. However, the eye in the starry sky kept the real spirit hesitating. He regrets going to look at Jian Wushuang's timeline now. And if nothing is gone, letting Jian Wushuang fall directly, he will not worry so much in his heart. I don't think there is a big connection between the two. The existence you mentioned is very different from the predecessor I met. It should not be the same person. Jian Wushuang had better not move. The one we are looking for may not be the same. Once you have entered the Temple of Qixin, you'd better implement the migration as soon as possible. As for where to go, choose a powerful river of time and space. There is also room for buffer. Xian Yi cautiously said. Zhenling nodded, and finally gave Xian Yi a meaningful look. After Xian Yi left, Zhenling stood by the pillar of the Heart Sea Hall, his eyes deep, obviously recalling what Xian Yi said. Is this long river of time and space easy to destroy? Indeed, this long river of time and space is too weak. The Lord of the universe is a legend, and anyone who goes against the sky can subvert it. But if you go, there are some powerful long rivers of time and space, the long rivers of time and space where eternal forces are sitting. That might be the case. If the existence is really in the Temple of Qixin, he would be happy to see that scene. In any case, they are all strong people who came out of the Qixin Temple, and the Qixin line can be great again. Jian Wushuang. It shouldn't be him. Although all traces were Jian Wushuang, he had a hunch that it would not be Jian Wushuang, but someone else. He saw the Dian Immortal in a picture. Although hidden deep, countless practitioners will encounter some benefactors or powerful masters or mysterious masters. But there was a Dian Immortal who met several powerful masters. There were people behind these masters. One of those people existed without a timeline or some fake timelines. That existence is the senior in Xian Yi's mouth. Jian Wushuang is just a blindfold. As for that, he dared not explore again Jian Wushuang had a long way to go. Looking through the primitive world at a glance, on the original star of Jiayi, a 9-turned Great Yenxian, disguised as 9-turned Great Yenxian, practiced in the entire time house. He is recognized as the number 1 powerhouse on the first original star. Have the strength of the emperor. One person swept the entire primordial star, and the second stage of trials swept countless demons without any pressure. After Zhenling remembered this person deeply, he had a plan in his heart. Chapter 5300. That predecessor is either misleading, or it is that this universe will have 2 strongest people. Anyway, these 2 people will focus on training in the future, especially Jian Wushuang. But you shouldn't leak too many feet, or you will change from unintentional to intentional. After you really reach the top, I'm afraid you will look at your life. Such a strong person does not want to be used as a pawn. The universe moves. The world revolves. All the laws have long been set. Get out of space and master the time. Although not in this time and space, but in a starry sky. The true spirit, or the senior, they can't count. The figure who will traverse the world in the future will be the most inconspicuous Dayan Immortal, a Dayan Immortal who is underestimated by everyone. Magic Sound Mountain. In the cosmic copper furnace, the worn-out consciousness unexpectedly reunited, and the origin and the divine body exploded again. Jian Wushuang unexpectedly came back to life again. He himself was a little confused. All of this was real, and he came back to life again. Death still stopped at that moment. The power of resuscitation made him return to his peak. It was too late to think about it. The broken divine body and origin had already merged into the flesh, and the scorching heat of the flame struck again. This time it was in the peak state, and with the experience just now, it really made him resist. Willpower is related to the state of mind. The stronger his state of mind, the more tenacious his willpower. He carried on the first wave, the second wave, and even the last wave. It was originally just tempering the physical body, but now even the origin and the divine body are tempered into the physical body together. Throughout the ages, the first person, even the true spirit, couldn't help being shocked after seeing it. This is the 10th exercise. The 10th exercise was created by a little guy. So let's add another layer. With a wave of the real spirit, Jian Wushuang's figure entered another dimension. I was trying to find a reason to bestow Jian Wushuang's treasure, but now it seems that it was delivered to him. But this was also Jian Wushuang strong enough. He was stunned, and he innovated the 10th chain. After being teleported to another space, Jian Wushuang took a good look at his body. The whole body is naked. His skin is crystal clear and mellow, and his upper body is extremely strong because of his skeleton. It's just that the hair changed color and became gray. White hair and white face. Only eyes with a trace of blood. The candle dragon's eyes from the center of the eyebrows exudes light. Call. In one breath, it really is a clone. There is no breath on the body. Change. The avatar instantly turned into a feather, flying lightly. Jian Wushuang's thought power was extremely powerful, wrapped in feathers, and he couldn't detect the breath on the feathers, but it felt like an ordinary feather. Such ability is even stronger than Qiu Huang said. The sword has no double-sided color. Before he was happy, an illusory woman appeared suddenly. Jian Wushuang. The woman's voice was cold, shocking Jian Wushuang. Just about to bow down to see him, it suddenly occurred to me that I didn't wear anything on my body, and quickly took out a clean python robe from the world of Shumi and put it on. The white-haired python robe. The whole person has a majestic color. Facing the cold woman, Jian Wushuang responded carefully. I thought that he would directly enter the demon suppression space, or the Shanjun would greet him, but I didn't expect an illusory woman to appear suddenly. By the order of the true spirit, I hereby reward you for creating the 10th refinement of the supergrade physical body. Jian Wushuang was a little puzzled. 10th exercise? Could it be because he practiced the divine body and the source together? There really is such a possibility. No wonder his physical body is much stronger than Qiu Huang said. It can simulate various substances. After receiving the reward, the illusory woman left without thanking the true spirit in the opponent's mouth. It's quick to come, and it's quick to go. Jian Wushuang didn't care about this. He didn't know that it was that illusory woman who was transformed from the true spirit inside the temple of Qishan. Moying Mountain was almost evacuated. There were still figures there, and those emperors could not enter here. The Senate has just taken over, and it is unlikely that it will come in so soon. Waved. The rewarded jade box flew over. After opening it, Jian Wushuang was surprised to find that a light green board was placed in the jade box. Bring your thumb. Very suitable. The moment he took it, a scene suddenly appeared in his mind. That is a majestic who teaches sentient beings in his dojo. At the top of the dojo, there are still many people in a row. The scene gradually disappeared. Jian Wushuang only remembered it, and there were a few ancient words written on it. Mischief. He recognized it. That was the of preaching, and the of his right hand was holding the ancient book with a light green board on his right thumb. At this moment, Jian Wushuang's breathing was cramped. Regardless of whether the board is useful or not, it is too meaningful for collection. A board that has been carried by the gods for many years has a more or less ambivalent atmosphere on the top, or it contains the avenue of the gods, which is too precious. He turned the board cautiously, and his mind was ethereal. His cultivation speed was more than 100 times faster, and there was also a Shumi world on this board, moved slightly. The huge black and white yin and yang arrays suddenly appeared. This turned out to be a big formation, a great array to protect Qingning. This treasure did not contribute much to the increase in his strength, but it was definitely the top auxiliary treasure. For a time, hold it in your hand, and some can't put it down. This kind of feeling, I don't know how many years it has been, like a child holding a toy, playing nonstop. The whole person's spirit has improved a lot, and his thought power has become much stronger than before. It's time to leave. Jian Wushuang stood there, waiting quietly. The soles of the feet turned for a while, and a lot of light flashed. He didn't notice it. The figure disappeared instantly, and when it reappeared, it had already reached the top of Moying Mountain. Jian Wushuang looked around, and there was a big pit that was not a bit deep in the place where the demon suppression pillar was originally placed. What's happening? Where is Shanjun? And the outside scene has also changed. The Moying Mountain was clearly in the void, but now it is in a lake, because it is fresh water. Although the scope is large, Jian Wushuang guessed that it should be a lake. The sky is blue. It's been a long time since I entered the real world. Brat! A familiar voice sounded and brought Jian Wushuang's thoughts back. Turning around, he found that it was the old man with horns. Senior Yang, why are you here? Jian Wushuang asked in surprise. Young Samu smiled slightly. I am still surprised that you will be here. After listening to the other party, Jian Wushuang learned that Moying Mountain had been moved to the four core secret realms, and Shanjun had been taken away. This made Jian Wushuang feel very guilty, and it must be because of the catastrophe that swallowed the origin of the universe. If there is a day when the Tao is in the sky, he will be rescued. Repay the cause. Before he knew it, he owed a lot of cause and effect. TXT download address. Phone reading. Chapter 53:01. The causal cycle is in accordance with the destiny. Tribulation, evil cause and effect. He can account for everything. Fortunately, The cause and effect is that Shanjun helped him. And there was no requirement. Xian Yi and Lao Zun also helped him at the beginning, and there was also no need. However, the power of Jiegua is constantly growing, and it must be eradicated before being combined. As for the consequences, this has something to do with his strength. Once Ji Dao breaks through to the 7th level and masters the power of all things, he will be able to get rid of the evil consequences of swallowing power. All three have solutions, but they are extremely difficult. Jian Wushuang shook his head, secretly, not thinking so much. Now it's important to go back. From the mouth of Yang Senmo. He also probably understood the 4 secret realms, and he was very fascinated. He didn't expect that there are still ancient continents today. After the future trials are over, he will definitely venture into the core. Senior, how many powerhouses are there in these 4 secret realms? Jian Wushuang couldn't help asking. According to Yang Sanmo, the 4 secret realms are extremely wide, comparable to the size of half a universe, and their existence time exceeds the time when the universe was born. The strong here has the oldest heritage and various geniuses and treasures. The powerhouse born is probably several times stronger than the original star universe. He has also seen the list of the universe gods and demons. The original universe alone has tens of thousands of emperors. Although the 5th order emperors have all gone to the long river of time and space, if they all return, I am afraid there will be dozens of them. This is not even the missing ones. When the old man with horns heard this, he was obviously taken aback. After entering the Senate Palace, he hadn't had time to look through the strong man's record sent by the White Tiger Palace, but he calculated based on what he had seen and heard in the 4 secret realms. The powerhouse in the northern realm of the heavenly secret realm alone is much stronger than the primitive universe. There may be a gap in quantity, but in terms of quality, it is absolutely dominant. The primitive universe has countless great evolving immortals, which is more than the northern realm or even the entire celestial realm. But in terms of emperors, they are quite weak, and there are several 6th order emperors named by the Old Horn Man. The primitive universe didn't even have a 6th order emperor. Of course, there is an ultimate emperor in the original universe, and there is no ultimate emperor in the entire Qixin temple. If so, they are probably sleeping in the tomb of the gods. An ultimate emperor is more important than several 6th order emperors. Especially that ultimate emperor was about to touch the peak. It was only a matter of time to cross the 6th step, and the true spirit would solve it personally. The combat power is not anxious, the important cosmic secret law, and its own origin. Once these two break through, it is really a matter of time to reach the top. After listening to the explanation of the old man with horns, Jian Wushuang nodded. This temple of Qixin was much stronger than he had imagined, but he also had a question. Why are there so many powerhouses in the temple of Qixin, and it takes a lot of effort to recruit inheritors from the primitive universe? In his opinion, it would be good to recruit an ultimate emperor. It is too wasteful to cast the net widely and catch less fish. Ha ha! Yang Samu laughed when he heard Jian Wushuang's doubts. Little guy, it's embarrassing for you two. There are some things that you will understand if you don't understand now. Remember, the day after tomorrow will never compare to the innate, and the practitioners in the Temple of Qixin are acquired by the day after tomorrow. Jian Wushuang really didn't understand what he heard, but he remembered the last sentence in his heart. Your own physical body is the strongest acquired. Is it really inferior to those innate creatures? Maybe not now, but not necessarily in the future. The innate beast gods are strong enough. They have not been beheaded by the gods and refined into treasures. Who dares to say that the gods are not strong? The two chatted for a while, and a middle-aged man in a yellow robe wearing a senior executive with a sallow complexion, walked out of a crack in the space. The moment he walked out, Jian Wushuang felt a strong pressure, and his entire body couldn't move. "You are Jian Wushuang?" The visitor was Wu Zua, who had just returned from farewell to Shanjun. "Junior, Jian Wushuang has seen Senior." Jian Wushuang bowed, slightly. Wu Zua put away the coercion, but the true spirit of this man had instructed him to return to the original star in its entirety. He didn't dare to bully the small. Now, the entire Qixin temple, the most important thing is these inheritors. Although he is a little unconvinced, he does not dare to make mistakes. The days of pacifying chaos and reclaiming wasteland have just passed through, but now we have to be honest. And when he sent Shanjun to the second prison, Shanjun also asked him to take more care of the little guy on Moyne Mountain. Although the two of them had a normal friendship, the 5 great demon masters were once infinitely beautiful, and the 5 were connected to the heart, and they were once one body. To give face to the mountain gentleman is to give face to the other 4. He knows that except for the mountain monarch and the heart demon, who were sent to prison, the remaining few, but they were mixed in the Qixin temple, especially the wind demon and the 10,000 demons, who are now the celebrities next to the true spirit. Up. Don't be so nervous. There are still 2 days left before the trial of Primordial Star. Are you going to go back now? Or take a look on this Yuanyang Lake? Jian Wushuang could stay and have a look at the sound, a little frightened. The sheep on the side patted him on the shoulder, winked, and said, "Thank you, Brother Wu Zua." "Thank you, Lord Wu Zua." "Don't thank me. I will trouble Brother Yang to take Jian Wushuang to look at this Yuanyang Lake in the past 2 days, and I will personally take you back when I leave." As soon as the voice fell, a big snake with a thick water tank rushed out. Wu Zua stood on the head of the snake and glanced at Jian Wushuang. Especially after seeing the light green board on Jian Wushuang's thumb, his eye holes shrank to a point. He didn't dare to ask more. His figure disappeared in a flash. Jian Wushuang, who straightened up, had a different color in his eyes. He could feel that his luck seemed to have changed, and Shanjun was helping him because the two were of the same kind. Wu Zua took great care of him. It should be that board. The overflow of this board. I am afraid it is only now manifested. I still underestimated it before. Just now, the person who had seen the of ambiguity recognized that the light green board in his hand was something of the of ambiguity, so he took care of this and allowed him to stay here. The young Sanmu who was standing next to him was also a little surprised. The usual arrogant Wu Zua was so approachable this time, and he let Jian Wushuang stay here. It seems that the true spirit hasn't explained anything in particular. It's just that Wu Zua was too careful to return Jian Wushuang to the original world. Maybe Wu Zua was too careful, Yang Samu secretly guessed. "Senior Sheep, who is the Wu Zua Lord just now?" Seeing that the treatment was completely gone, Jian Wushuang probed carefully. The strength of the man just now is very strong, at least stronger than the emperor he has seen, and it is not much better than the mountain monarch. Yang Samus' eyes were reminiscent, and he slowly said, "He is the disciple who sits down, and is the only disciple still alive, a 6th order mighty person." Disciple of Qixin? Jian Wushuang was shocked. No wonder you know the board on his thumb. You know that even the old man with horns doesn't know this treasure. TXT download address, phone reading. Chapter 53:02. Well, there are only 2 days. You have to cherish it. This is the boundary map near Yuanyang Lake. If you want to leave Yuanyang Lake, you can sit in the teleportation formation and go to the northern boundary to take a look at the ancient sects. Ancient sect. Jian Wushuang swallowed. "Then go now." "Can." With a smile on his face, Yang Samu waved his hand, and suddenly a huge ancient boat appeared in the sky. The ancient boat is very leaky. There is only a small pavilion, and there is a puppet fisherman in the front. Jian Wushuang got on the ancient ark, only to realize that there was an aura familiar to him on this ancient ark that was an eternal aura. This is the eternal treasure. Jian Wu was calm and asked with some uncertainty. Young Samuel widened his eyes and exclaimed, "Boy, you have a good vision." This is indeed the eternal treasure. The old man with horns is considered the richest among the fifth-order emperors, even richer than some poorer sixth-order emperors. In addition to the treasures of the universe, he has collected other eternal treasures, from the best to the ordinary. This ancient boat is one of them. This is the first time since the decline of ancient times. The power of the eternal treasure is infinite. With a slight movement, it turns into a stream of light and goes straight to the end of the sky. The old man with horns first took Jian Wushuang to the palace group above the center of Yuanyang Lake. Among them, there is a large hall that is responsible for teleportation and is interconnected with the northern continent. Because of the limited time, it is impossible to go deep into the north, so I can only look for the ancient sects of the marginal generation and observe it. Said it is to observe. In fact, it is to go to the mountains and play. Entering the teleportation hall, Jian Wushuang saw another old acquaintance, Senior Qiu Huang. Qiu Huang's appearance was different from when he was in the treasure hall. Now he is sitting in the center. His complexion is extremely majestic, and his strength has long been restored to its peak. The fifth-order peak emperor in the Yuan Lao Palace. The weakest emperor is the fifth-order emperor. Otherwise, they would have been slaughtered long ago, and it would be useless to keep them below the fifth level. I knew it was you kid in Moyne Mountain. Qiu Huang had already guessed what it looked like. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly and said, "Predecessors have a wonderful calculation." "Stop nonsense. The trials of the primordial realm are about to begin. Hurry in." The old man with horns and his eyebrows dangled. He looked down on Qiu Huang very much. In terms of seniority, he was much higher than Qiu Huang. He was the first emperor to be looted. For Qiu Huang, a latecomer, he has always been a senior. Look like, "Xiao Qiu, I brought Wushuang here, not to teleport back to the primordial realm, but to go to the north realm. You quickly open the big formation." Qiu Huang sat up directly from the throne. This body was only one of his law bodies, and the true deity was practicing in retreat. The thin body suddenly stood up, and the momentum it caused was not small. After all, it was a fifth-order peak emperor, and even a law body had an ordinary fifth-order level. This is the center of the Senate Palace. So the law bodies sitting here are naturally a bit more tyrannical. The trial is about to begin. What are you going to do to the north now? The old man with horns, his voice was warm and angry. Brother Wuzhua specially let Wushuang stay for 2 days to get to know him. Anyway, he will be stationed in the core in the future. And when he goes back, Brother Wuzhua will send him back personally. So don't worry. At first, it was Wu's meaning, and Qiu Huang's eyes looked at Jian Wushuang, which was even more incredible. In just a few days, Jian Wushuang has become involved with Wuzhua. Jian Wushuang stood aside and nodded. "Trouble, Senior Qiu Huang." "Huh." The two of them stepped into the big formation, the heaven and earth hall. The universe is boundless. In an instant, it crossed over many boundaries. Northland, Liuzhou ancient territory, Shaluo City. The huge Liuzhou is the size of a high-level world, and Shaluo City is ranked in the top 3 major cities. Only this kind of ancient city will have a teleportation array. With such a large array, every time it takes to open the teleportation, Dianxian can go bankrupt, and generally only the emperor can consume it. Fortunately, 10,000 people can be transmitted at one time, and part of the 9 ranks Dian Immortal can be consumed. The ancient huge teleportation formation is located in the core area of Shaluo City next to the City Lord's mansion. It was a fifth-tier emperor who built this super city, but that emperor fell while participating in a battle of the sect, and now it is his descendants who manage this super city. The City Lord at this time, although not a fifth-order emperor, but also a fourth-order peak emperor, is also very famous in the local generation. When the old ancestor Shaluo fell, this big city should have changed hands, but the fourth-order emperor was very courageous, went directly to the White Tiger Temple, and gave the entire Shaluo city to the White Tiger Temple. The White Tiger Palace was taken back, naturally, and no one dared to be evil. It was just that there was a lack of manpower at that time, so the fourth-order emperor was allowed to manage it on his behalf. Although it was said, there was still some hidden meaning in it. As for what it was, it is estimated that the people in the White Tiger Palace and the emperor knew. Outside the teleportation formation, a small team of emperors has been guarded for many years to defend the teleportation formation. Of course, only 100 Dayan immortals at the Taoist level and a black-clothed emperor at the City Lord's mansion can be seen daily. The Emperor Squad is a member of the White Tiger Hall. They usually practice in the White Tiger Branch Hall and don't usually go out. Although the 4 secret realms are chaotic, no matter how chaotic they are also the top chaotic and weak emperor. When they see the White Tiger Palace, they tremble and dare not make trouble. Those who dare to make trouble, there is no Tier 6, but Tier 5 strength. Outside the teleportation array at this time, many strong people came in and out. This is Liu Zhou. A young man in a white robes with a high crown on his head was exceptionally noble, but his behavior was extremely frivolous. And he is only Dayan immortal, but his strength has reached the threshold of a half-step emperor. He is the emperor in the sect, and his status is noble. Following him is also a leader in the sect, and each is the strength of the Taoist monarch. Among these handsome men and women, there is also an old man in 60s. His appearance is the least conspicuous, but the strength is the strongest. He is a third-order emperor. Although the strong in the 4 great secret realms are like clouds, the third-order emperor, whether in the outside world or in the Temple of the Gods, is considered to be the strong. Old Go. I think this Sharo city is just like that. It's not as good as our Twilight City. When the distinguished man opened his mouth, he somewhat disliked this ancient Sharo city. The 60th old man was smiling with kindness in his eyes and explained, "Young master, don't underestimate this Shaluo city. Back then, when the Shaluo city lord was in Liuzhou, it was extremely lively. That's all before. The noble man who was called the young master led everyone down the teleportation formation and cast a slight disgust at the crowded teleportation formation. Cross-city transmission, they were able to start a single cost, and they were not crowded with those people. TXT download address, phone reading. Chapter 5303. Young master, let's go to the City Lord's mansion first. I am a good friend with an emperor in the City Lord's mansion. They will arrange for someone to send us to the Shangqing Palace." Gu Lao stepped forward, his face trembling. Well, it's time to find a place to be clean for a while. At the same time, there was a group of people, and their destination was also the Shangqing Palace. There are 13 people in a group, old and young. The leader was a man in a green shirt who was also a third-order emperor. What was strange was that he was still carrying a broken sword. Few practitioners have the habit of carrying the sword, let alone carrying a broken sword. The remaining 3 are Daojun level, and 9 are half-walk Daojun. 100 sacred stones. Outside the teleportation array, a cold voice came from a Taoist guard. The man in the green shirt turned his hand, and he was a neat 100 sacred stones. This is the hard currency of the 4 great secret realms. Each sacred stone contains the origin of space. Although it is extremely rare. It can't hold up the amount. If converted into external value, almost a stone is an ordinary treasure. Uncle Nya, haven't we paid for the sacred stone in Twilight City? Why do we have to give it another 100? The girl in the green dress has a small round face and is very pleasant. Before the master Nya could answer, the noble young master, who had not left yet, took the words. Little girl, this is the rule of the temple. Ask your master uncle if you dare to touch it. If you dare, you can go back to the 100 sacred stones. It's you, Wei Liang. The young master turned his head and looked around and recognized the person who spoke. They are all strong in Twilight City. Almost all of them know each other. It's just that they are not right. When Elder Goose saw the man surnamed Nya taking the lead, his face was cold. When the two groups confronted each other, the three-tiered teleportation made a hum. Look at it. It's the third layer of teleportation array, trans-state teleportation. The sect grand ceremony of the Shangqing Palace. Unexpectedly, even the powerhouses of other big states have come. Swish! Two figures appeared in the teleportation array on the third floor. Cross-state teleportation is usually the powerhouse of the Third Order Emperor and even the Fourth Order Emperor. However, as long as the opponent is not a Sixth Order Emperor, then this oil and water money can be obtained. This time, the Emperor in Black in the City Lord's mansion greeted him personally. Transportation across the state, 1,000 sacred stones. The Emperor in Black has a gentle voice. Although he is in a high position, he still needs respect for those powerful emperors. In the teleportation array, there are two people, one old and one young. It was also the first time for the two of them to come to Liuzhou. Before the teleportation formation was set, they heard 1,000 sacred stones, and they were a little confused for a while. Sacred stone. What is that thing? The two are Yang Sanmu and Jian Wushuang from Yuanyang Lake. The black-clothed emperor was a little surprised seeing the expressions of the two. The sacred stone didn't know how these two people entered the teleportation formation. With a move of supernatural power, he looked up and down. The strength of the old can't be seen through, and the origin of the young is the emperor, but the aura is a Taoist. Strange. These two people are very strange. However, the Emperor in Black, as a member of the City Lord's mansion, was backed by the White Tiger Temple. Naturally, he was not afraid at all and immediately sent the City Lord's mansion. This fellow Taoist, are you joking? I don't know how the stone. How do you sit on the teleportation formation? The black-clothed Emperor's voice is getting colder. Many people outside the teleportation array also leaked surprised expressions. These two are going to be unlucky. The teleportation array is not from the City Lord's mansion, but from the temple. No one dares to provoke the majesty of the temple. The Sixth Order Emperor will not work either. Humph! The old man with horns had a weird temper. Seeing that the other party was so disrespectful, he wanted to do it now. He is a Fifth Order Peak Emperor, and he is also an emperor who is good at refining the most treasures. His identity can be comparable to that of a Sixth Order Emperor. At the beginning, even the masters of the universe were very polite to him. Now, a little Third Order Emperor dared to be so disrespectful. The Emperor in Black obviously also felt the threat, and immediately shouted bold. As soon as the voice fell, the person has not yet retreated. The old man with horns shook his claws, and a towering palm directly pinched the Black Emperor. Such a violent aura instantly shook the entire teleportation formation, and even affected the formation of the teleportation formation. It's over! Many people hurriedly backed away and watched from a distance. They decided that these two must be finished, and they even dared to do something against the Emperor in the City Lord Mansion on the teleportation array. Ha ha! Several figures sprang out, each of them dressed in silver robes. This is the Emperor team stationed here in the White Tiger Palace. The leader is the Fifth Order Emperor, and the weakest ones are the Fourth Order peaks, with a total of 9 people. At the same time, the Emperor of the City Lord's mansion also rushed over. Such a big movement directly alarmed the City Lord. He took 3 Fourth Order Emperors, plus he was 4. In an instant, in the city of Shaluo, the strongest emperors have gathered. You are so courageous. How dare you be presumptuous here? The Fifth Order Emperor, headed by him, wore a golden robe. This is the deacon of the outer hall of the White Tiger Palace, the fighting power of the Fifth Order Emperor. In addition to the main hall of the White Tiger Hall, there are countless outer halls. There are 3 halls divided into heaven, earth, and people. Shaluo City is the Earth Hall, and the Fifth Order Genie Emperor sits here. In the entire Liuzhou, there is only one temple, not in Shaluo City. In the temple, there are purple-clothed elders, the Sixth Order Emperor, the strongest group of people in the 4 secret realms. He is also the person with the highest status. There are several White Tiger temples in the entire northern border, and there is one in Liuzhou, which is just close to Zhongzhou. The deacon in golden clothes was a Fifth Order Emperor, and he was of the same rank as the old man with horns, but his combat power was very different, just like ordinary 9 rank Dian Immortal and Jian Wushuang. Too much difference. Hee, your White Tiger Palace is really such a powerful official. The old man with horns had cold eyes. The entire Northern Territory has now been assigned to the Palace of the Elders by the True Spirit, and the White Tiger Palace should also be removed from this place in the future. Standing behind the old man, Jian Wushuang was shocked when he saw the old man with horns doing his hands for the first time. He doesn't worry about what these people dare to do. The Senate Palace, like the White Tiger Palace, is the core force of the Qixin Palace, and no one will embarrass them. Those who provoke the temple, cut. Emperor Genie drew out a long knife and cut through the space with one knife. The rest of the emperors also rushed up with so many emperors fighting. Even if Shaluo City is strong, it will probably be half damaged. The city owner's face was solemn. I haven't encountered this kind of stunned green for many years, so why did he encounter it? Once the great formation of Shaluo City is damaged, it may not be here anymore. The reason why Shaluo City can be ranked in the top 3 in Liuzhou is because of this great formation. Under the recommendation, the app one I'm using recently, both Android and iPhone support. Boom, boom, boom. Countless groups of divine power were turned into a little by the old man of horns, and then lightly took out a red gourd from his waist and put them all into it. In the sky, only dilapidated space was left, but the surrounding area was not damaged at all. Tell the Elder Fire, come to Shaluo City quickly, and suspect that you have encountered a Sixth Order Emperor. The Genie Emperor has a grim expression. TXT download address, phone reading, Chapter 5304. This time I didn't know that the other party was going to end it. Anyway, he was going to end it. He actually encountered a Sixth Order Emperor. If the other party really dissatisfied with the temple and killed him casually, there was no place to reason at the time. If there is not much time, I have to teach you a lesson. The old man with horns snorted coldly. This time there are only 2 days, so hurry up and go to the nearby ancient sect to bring Jian Wushuang to see, and then you have to go back. Let's go. The horned old man took out the ancient boat and boarded the ancient boat with Jian Wushuang. Just as he was about to leave, the space in Shaluo City shook, and an extraordinary existence descended on him. Venerable fire. Wherever it went, the flame rose. An illusory human face appeared in the sky, staring at the old man with horns and Jian Wushuang. Brother Three Eyes, long time no see. The fiery face in the sky, with a majestic voice, vibrated everywhere when speaking. If the majesty is lowered, I am afraid that the entire city of Shero will be destroyed. The old man with horns grinned, raised his finger to the sky, and said excitedly, Gao Hua, you are still alive. Jian Wushuang breathed a sigh of relief when he heard the words. These four great secret realms, really strong like clouds, they just came to Shaluo City. They met one. Of course, if it weren't for them, I'm afraid it wouldn't be so easy to meet a sixth-order emperor. Emperor Genie was a little stunned, listening to the words of the old man with horns. It seemed that the other party knew Venerable Blaze. The human face in the sky is a form of venerable blazing fire. People have already descended before they reach the form. After almost a breath, the deity is considered to have rushed over. Looking at it from a close distance, Venerable Fire is wearing a purple robe, his head is red, and his face is rough. You are still alive. How am I willing to die? Venerable Fire's face and temper were very bold. Yes, you've been in the heaven back then, and haven't settled in the tomb of the gods. The old man with horns sighed. The two had known each other in the ancient times. At that time, they were both the Fifth Order Emperor. Now, Laihua Venerable has already existed in the Sixth Order, and he is also the main hall of the White Tiger Palace. The Old Man of Shofar is still the fifth rank named in the Palace of the Old, and the identity of the old man is the same. Venerable Fire stepped onto the ancient boat, patted the old man with horns on the shoulder again, and said excitedly, Go, where do I go first? We two have been away for too long. Here. The old man with horns pointed at those emperors. Venerable Agni turned his gaze to the emperors and said coldly, Today's matter, it is assumed that it has never happened. Understand? Yes. Genie Emperor, sweating profusely, bowed quickly. The rest of the emperors didn't even dare to take a breath. But this was the palace master of the heavenly palace, the Sixth Order Emperor, and they could kill them with a single breath. In the entire northern border, who would dare to resist? Agni, I came here with a task. The old man Yang Jiao also wanted to share the old with this old friend, but with Jian Wushuang beside him, he patted his chest and made a promise in front of Wuzhua. Jian Wushuang said wittily at the moment, Senior Sheep, you can do it yourself. I can do it alone. It would be nice if he could come. It would be fine to go around in Shero City by himself, and there was no need to let the old horned man accompany him. When Venerable Fire heard this, he looked at Jian Wushuang. As a Sixth Order Emperor, what a vision! He can see the difference between Jian Wushuang at a glance. 9 ranks Dian immortal, the origin is more than a lot of emperors. And the breath is different from the practitioners in the 4 great secret realms. Is this the inheritor? The Emperor Lihua said in a voice transmission. He is not easy to tell the matter of the inheritor, so he can only transmit the sound to the old man with horns. This was an order issued by the White Tiger General Hall. Although he was a Sixth Order Emperor, he did not dare to defy the White Tiger General Hall. Yes, it's not an ordinary inheritor. Brother Wuzhua ordered me to take him around in the Northern Realm, and he must be sent back to the primitive realm in 2 days. The old horned man replied. Venerable Agni shuddered after hearing Wuzhua's name. That existence, the status is much higher than him, is a named disciple of the of God. His special order dare not violate. After Venerable Burning Fire personally bid farewell, Jian Wushuang and the old man with horns left Shaluo City on the ancient boat. The strong onlookers, although they don't know what they said, they can also understand that the identities of these 2 individuals are extraordinary and their strength is extremely powerful. Looking at the departure direction of the old man with horns, Lihua's face also became cold, turning his head to look at the golden-clothed emperor. Be low-key in doing things in the future. I won't be so easy to talk next time. After speaking, he flashed away and left here. He wasn't talking about threats, but the entire heaven realm would change in the future. The White Tiger Palace is not the only one. He knew about the entry of the Senate Palace, and there would be a large number of inheritors in the future, and those inheritors who were screened out would settle in the secret realm of the heavens in the future. No matter how rampant it is, the main hall will definitely set a penalty. Things ended. Emperor Genie led people away in a desperate manner, and the Lord of Shaluo City was always marginalized from beginning to end, and no one mentioned it at all. This is also a kind of sadness. This kind of dispute is resolved by the White Tiger Palace, and it is not his turn to speak. But then again, there is no White Tiger Palace. Today, even if the old city lord is here, I am afraid it will be difficult to settle. After dispersing, the crowd of onlookers also began to disperse. The young master named Wei Liang's eyes changed. I planned to visit the city lord at the city lord's mansion, but now it seems that this is unnecessary. So let's go directly to the Shangqing Palace. The mood of the city lord is probably not very good now, and they will also be closed doors when they visit. If it were normal, the city owner would like to receive some of the leaders of the younger generation in Liuzhou. After young master Wei Liang hurried away with someone, the man surnamed Nia, with the broken sword on his back, also took him away. Like them, there are several teams, all heading towards one place. Uncle Nia, who is the powerful purple-clothed man, just now. The Qingluo girl asked curiously on the Iya Bianzhou. Now, most people are also discussing the matter just now. After all, the journey is far away, and there is no way to concentrate on cultivation on the road. So I started to talk about the matter just now. Nie Yuan's eyes were deep and haggard, which may be related to his broken sword. However, after hearing the girl's curiosity, she still leaked a little smile and faintly replied, "That person who exists is the strongest person in our Liuzhou, the Lord of the Temple of Heaven, Lord Blaze. Better than the venerable of Shangqing Palace?" The girl was surprised. After Nie Yuan heard the word venerable Shangqing Palace, his eyes were cold, and his whole body seemed to have changed, and his arms trembled a little. At this time, the majestic and prestige passed, and it was considered clear. Nie Yuan not only broke his sword, but also his left arm. In the end, he just shook his head and said nothing more. On Jian Wushuang's side, facing the old man with horns, sat in the short pavilion of Guzhou. Looking around all the way, the scene here is not too different from the outside world. There are many sects, but some mortals are missing, or there are no mortals at all. At this time, in his hand, there was an extra yellowed ancient book, which recorded various secrets of the secret realm of heaven. TXT download address, phone reading, Chapter 53:05. Boy, this time we are going to the Shangqing Palace. It is recorded that the Shangqing Palace, this ancient sect, is very famous in the four secret realms. Since the beginning of the sect, 2 sixth-order emperors have been born, among them Shangqing Taoists. It is also the existence of the sixth-order peak. The current palace lord is also a sixth-order existence. Although the strength is not as good as the founding ancestor, the potential is the number 1 in the north, and there is still a lot of upper body space. Hearing a series of introductions from the old man Yang Horn, Jian Wushuang opened the book and looked up the relevant records of the Shangqing Palace. Taoists of Shangqing, starting at the very end, creating the palace of the Qing dynasty, practicing swords up and down, are the supreme swordsmanship. He went to the tomb of the gods and was assigned to the 3rd prison for 100 epochs. After his release, he returned to the Shangqing Palace after preaching for hundreds of millions of years in the secret realm of the human world. Venerable Yuqing, the current palace lord, the swordsman, is the 6th-generation leader of the Shangqing Palace, rising 100,000 years ago. The record of the deeds of the Shangqing Palace is less than half a page. However, using swords up and down aroused his interest. According to records, the Shangqing Palace, Every epoch will open a mountain, and the Dianxian from the northern realm and even the entire celestial realm will be invited to the Shangqing Palace to watch the sword tide. Every sword tide will attract many powerful people, and even some fifth-order emperors will go. This time, Jian Wushuang was also lucky and happened to encounter the sword tide of this era. He wants to see how this sword tide is. He is also the ultimate way. In this aspect of kendo, he has been pursuing it. Desiu is seldom better than him. On Primordial Star, he has not been able to meet a kendo expert. This time, I can observe how strong the ancient swordsmanship is. Gu Zhou accelerated at full speed, and it only took a quarter of an hour to reach the Shangqing Palace. At the beginning, the teleportation formation was established in Shaluo City because of the Shangqing Palace. Along the way, Jian Wushuang and the others also met a lot of fellow travelers. All of them were going to the Shangqing Palace. Most of them are some third-order emperors with a group of juniors. Rarely encountered the fourth-order emperor. As for the fifth-order emperor, it was none of them. The speed of the ancient boat is beyond the reach of everyone. After all, it is the eternal treasure, although this is one of the four secret realms. But the eternal treasure is also rare here. Under the fifth-order emperor, few people have the eternal treasure. When everyone saw the ancient boat Jian Wushuang was riding in, they all gave way. The person who can ride the eternal treasure must be a big person. There are famous people throughout the Northern Territory. Whoosh! The scenery in front of me changed. Jian Wushuang slowly got up, came to the forefront of the ancient boat, and stood shoulder to shoulder with the puppet fisherman. The outline of the Shangqing Palace can already be seen. A majestic mountain range stretches for hundreds of millions of miles, with no end in sight. On the main peak, a huge waterfall can be seen clearly from a distance. As it gets closer, the appearance of the Shangqing Palace becomes clearer. Guzhou suddenly stopped, and an enchantment appeared in front of him. At this time, there were many people floating outside the barrier. The disciples and elders of the Shangqing Palace each received the strong from other sections. When I saw Guzhou, an elder from the Shangqing Palace changed his complexion and hurriedly transmitted his voice. After a while, a middle-aged man in a pale yellow robe teleported from the barrier. Look, it's Elder Nine Swords of the Shangqing Palace. Many people looked at the place where the sound came from. The 9 Swords of Shangqing, the 9 great elders. Each of them is a fifth-order emperor. And the powerhouse of the Shangqing Palace is not only supported by a sixth-order emperor. The most famous of the Shangqing Palace is the 9 Swords among the emperors and the 13 Tai, a sword among the Taoists. They are almost invincible powerhouses of the same level. In particular, the 13 Tea swords among the Taoist monarchs, each of them comparable to the emperor's strong, are the origin of cultivating swordsmanship. Their combat power is extremely strong, and there are few rivals in the same rank. The reason for attracting so many Taoists to come is to challenge the sword Tianjiao of the 13 Tai Aegean while watching the sword tide. Elder 9 Swords flickered, came to the front of Guzhou, bowed, and said, "But Senior Goat is here." "Oh, you know me?" The old man with horns was a little surprised. Although he had heard of the Shangqing Palace, he didn't know them. "It is Venerable Blaze who is calling my palace lord, and the younger generation is here to greet him." Elder 9 Swords is extremely respectful. After all, the person in front of him has a lot to do with Venerable Agni. In the whole Liuzhou, the strongest person is not well received, but the top 2 are definitely Venerable Agni. The remaining one is the ancestor of the Shangqing dynasty, a person comparable to the ancestor. How dare they to neglect? Although they only passed a word, they still received each other according to the highest standards. The old man Yang Horn took Jian Wushuang off the ancient boat and nodded. This is different from Agni's temperament. The previous Agni was not so careful. It seems that many people have changed over the years. All this, the sheep's 3 eyes are blamed on the White Tiger Hall. If it was before, he would still awe at the White Tiger Temple, but now it is hard to say. If it sounds good, it is a group of puppets, and if it sounds bad, it is the in power. Really speaking of strength, the White Tiger Palace has few, even the Sixth Order Emperors, and they are all puppets. That is to say, with the name of the of disagreement. So many powerhouses have been recruited. Senior, go here. Elder 9, Swords, led the 2 of them through the barrier. The scene before him became more real, and this mountain range was simply the world in Jian Wushuang's dream. The fragrance of birds and flowers, like a fairyland. This is different from what is recorded in that book. The book says that the north is so wild, and now it seems to be very good. If this is considered wild, what is the original universe outside? Many of the many territories encountered on the road are worse than Yuanyang Lake, and the worst is that the training site is not as good as Yuanyang Lake. Senior Sheep, fellow Wushuang Taoist, the Chow Chow Pavilion is in front of you. The location has been arranged. Please take a seat. Elder Jiu Jian said. Jian Wushuang looked over, and the entire Guanchao Pavilion was extremely vast, and now many people were seated. Well, thanks a lot. The old man with horns held his identity. Jian Wushuang was not as arrogant as he, and quickly thanked him. The seats are in the first row, next to the palace lord of the Shangqing Palace. The Fifth Order Emperors were seated on the side, and those Taoists were not qualified to be seated in the first row. Even the young masters were in the second row. Jian Wushuang's position was next to the old man Yang Jiao, and he was only a Dayan immortal in the first row. After seated, many people looked over. Who is this person? Even if Elder 9 Swords received him personally, a Taoist monarch actually sat in the first row. Many Fourth Order Emperors are sitting in the second row, and those sitting in the first row are not Fifth Order Emperors or some famous emperors. The weakest are the Fourth Order Emperors, and now they are sitting side by side with a Taoist monarch. Moreover, the position where the Taoist monarch was seated was so close to the palace lord of the Shangqing Palace. For a time, it caused a lot of commotion. Although there were doubts, no one dared to reprimand in person. After all, it was an arrangement of the Shangqing Palace, and they were just guests. TXT download address, phone reading, Chapter 5306, Watching the Tide Pavilion, watching the sword tide, but also watching the tide, and more about the world. In the current Guanchao Pavilion, there are tens of thousands of emperors and powerhouses who have come from afar, as well as some younger generations of the Taoist level. They are all Taoists or emperors of various sections. In the future, he will step into the emperor level. In the ancient times, there was a complete combination of Taoism. As long as one stepped into the Taoist level, almost all of them were able to succeed in combination. But for the record of the ultimate way, there is no information. This may have something to do with what the old horned man said. After all, the acquired and the innate are heaven and earth. Not to mention, what he mastered was not only the ultimate way, but also the extreme way that was more against the sky. There was one thing that made him extremely curious. Many of these Tao monarchs were half-step emperors, and there were even emperors in the Shangqing Palace. These people are not the ultimate way. How can the fighting power be so terrible? It didn't take long for the 2 of them to sit down, and the discussion in the back row also stopped. Many emperors had just arrived from the city of Shaluo, knowing that Jian Wushuang and the others were unusually identities. No one dared to say anything after they had said things in the city of Shaluo. The temple is an inviolable existence in the 4 secret realms, and the person who can have a relationship with the temple must not be a simple person. No wonder the Shangqing Palace sent Elder 9 Swords to greet him personally, and he was so polite. Liuzhou's comprehensive strength, is also the top rank in the northern boundary. Otherwise, the White Tiger Palace would not set up a temple here, letting Venerable Blaze personally suppress it. There are only 5 rank 6 powerhouses in Liuzhou. There are hundreds of tier 5 powerhouses. Such a huge force is stronger than the entire primitive universe. If all the forces in the Temple of Qixin are concentrated together, in this long river of time and space, there will be a large number of powerful forces. In the long river of time and space, countless universes coexist. The strong ones who can step out of the universe are at least the Third Order Emperors, and the strong ones are the Fifth Order or even the Sixth Order Emperors. However, most of the emperors in the outside world are strong in origin, but they are quite weak in the treasures. The strong point of the Qixin Temple is that it has many inheritance and treasures, but its weaknesses are also obvious. The indigenous strong people in the Qixin Temple are all born from the origin of the Qixin. Although the origin of the Qixin is much stronger than the origin of the universe, it is not the origin that breeds the strong after all. So the strong that is bred is inherently weaker than the outside world in terms of origin. This is also the weird place where many emperors watch Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang's current original aura is much stronger than ordinary aboriginal emperors, but his realm and inheritance are much worse, especially the divine body. In the 4 secret realms, there are many people who follow the divine body genre. When they were in the Taoist monarch, they had 7,000 to 8,000 times the divine body. Once the synergy is successful, there will be a 1,000,000-fold divine body. And there are secret methods for the inheritance of the divine body, which can be practiced at the emperor level and can further increase the divine body. Jian Wushuang randomly scanned among these people and found a lot of divine body practitioners. Their auras were obviously different from others. In particular, a Taoist-level powerhouse not far behind him, his divine body has 9,000 times. He is a powerhouse who has reached the edge of harmony. Jian Wushuang felt a lot of pressure with the slight movement of his mind. On the other side, there is a divine body with a surpassing 10,000 existence. The strong man in his consciousness is like a mountain, but he is just a sapling. Although he didn't know the specific divine body multiple, Jian Wushuang guessed that the opponent definitely had 20,000 times the divine body. Otherwise, the pressure on him would not be so great. The ancient sect is indeed extraordinary. The strongest special life in the outside world is only 10,000 times. Even if it is the emperor, I am afraid it is not so strong. Jian Wushuang shook his head. People are more popular than dead. There were things he admired in the ancient times, but the indigenous powerhouses of the Qixin Temple, if they knew how powerful the source of the outside world was, they would also envy them. A group of strong people pushed their cups and changed their cups and talked about each other. Jian Wushuang and the old man Yang Jiao were panicked. According to the process, you can watch the tide in the afternoon and watch the sword tide at midnight. Jian Wushuang sat in his seat, flipping through an ancient book in the Northern Territory Unknown Records, and reading while drinking. The old man with horns was a strong man in ancient times. He was not interested in these things, and he didn't want to take care of others, so he was alone, sitting there with closed eyes, rested. When others saw him, they didn't dare to talk to him. The first row, hundreds of positions, only half of the strong. It seems that there are still many big people who have not yet arrived. Jian Wushuang was not in a hurry either. The rows in the rear are almost full. Among them is the frivolous young master, Wei Liang. His position is not ordinary, but he only sat in the 3rd row, sitting with the 3rd Order Emperor named Goreo. Somewhat surprisingly, the middle-aged man named Nia, who had 1 arm and a broken sword, sat in the 5th row. There are 5 rows in the Guanchao Pavilion. The first row is full of big-faced people. And the second row is full of leaders of various sects, not fourth order emperors, but also some third order emperors with great potential, and some Taoists who are comparable to emperors. Most of the people sitting in the third row were like Wei Liang, the young master of the sect, and the third order emperor Strong. In the fourth row, there are some casual cultivators, ordinary emperors, sitting with some Taoists. As for the fifth row, there is not even a monarch, many of them are saints. The Shangqing Palace is famous for its swords. Every year, it will take special care of those who are strong in casual swordsmanship, invite some more powerful Taoists to watch the sword tide, and leave a good relationship. If you become an emperor in the future, you can also come to the Shangqing Palace to hang out. An outside deacon. Of course, it all depends on strength. If a sixth-order emperor can appear in these loose cultivators, they will not waste their good intentions. I still have the face to come back. Sitting in the first row, a Tier 5 mighty man, wearing a golden sword robe. His eyes revealed anger, and his tone was extremely cold. Jian Wushuang was so close to him that he could hear it. In fact, the strong man deliberately let it go, and the people in the back rows could also hear it clearly. After hearing it, many people turned their heads and looked. Seeing this, many people should know it. Jian Wushuang was so boring alone, he pricked his ears to listen to the comments of the people next to him. Thanks, Tusk. Nya Yuan dared to come to the Shangqing Palace. Didn't he say that he was cut off from the Shangqing Palace? You don't know about that. After the demon girl fell, Nye Yuan's life in Paragon was not easy anymore, and his strength plummeted again, and Parmon wouldn't give him a good face. A door-to-door son-in-law, who also killed the saint of Paramon. What kind of face can he give him? Someone sitting in the first row shook his head and sighed, while listening to the discussion behind him. Time and fate, what a good seedling, what a pity! The fifth-order emperor in the golden sword robe also had a trace of regret in his eyes, but he snorted coldly when he thought of the ridiculous things Nye Yuan had done. TXT download address, phone reading, Chapter 5307. It turned out that the man with one-armed sword was also a sword repairman in the Shangqing Palace. He was originally gifted and unfeeling, and moved across the northern realm of the monarchy. He was the first person in the younger generation of the Shangqing Palace. Later, he succeeded in joining the Dao, and he had the power of the third-order Peak Emperor, and the fourth-order Emperor was only a step away. At the beginning, everyone thought that he was the man who carried the tripod of the Shangqing Palace in the future, and the fifth-order Emperor was only a matter of time, and he was expected to aspire to the sixth order. Moreover, his origin is very powerful, and he can kill the Emperor when he is a prince. The third-order Peak can crush the fourth-order Emperor. Kendo is a practice of 10,000 kendo, and no one of the same rank dares to fight with one sword. Such a strong person will eventually end up like this. Which saint? Paragon. All of this seemed to be related to that woman. Nye Yuan. Jian Wushuang once saw it in Shaluo City because he was carrying a broken sword, which was very conspicuous to him as a sword repairman. When I first saw him, I just took another look. It was just that he was absolutely decadent, and he didn't look like a sword repairer, so he didn't care much. Unexpectedly, he still had such encounters. It's a pity. Wow. Jian Wushuang turned his head, and the old man with horns was sitting on his right. When he turned to the right, I heard that it was the position of the palace lord of the Shangqing Palace, and no one had been seated on his left. Now a young man with a rolling sword robe sat steadily. The visitor Jian Wushuang knew him, and he received them as Elder Nine Swords. Elder Nine Swords is the youngest person in the contemporary Nine Swords of the Shangqing Palace with great potential, and he is also the pinnacle powerhouse among the fifth-order emperors. Moreover, it is rumored that this Elder of the Nine Swords is expected to become the world's sword master in the future and inherit the position of the palace master of the Shangqing Palace. if it were not for Jian Wushuang and the old man Yangjiu's sudden visit. I am afraid that this person is next to the position of the Shangqing Palace Lord. Elder Nine Swords. Jian Wushuang held his fists to meet him, thanking him for receiving him. Friend Wushuang, don't have to be so polite. It is our blessing that you and Senior Yang can come to the Qing Palace. Elder Jiujian is very restrained and low-key. If it were others, no matter how strong Jian Wushuang's background was, he wouldn't be so polite. The key Jian Wushuang also has no background. He is just an ordinary inheritor, so he was lucky. He was valued by Shan Jun. He self-defeatingly created the 10th chain of the physical body and obtained the of jade gifted by the true spirit, Board. Then he got the appreciation of Wuzhua, and he followed the old man with horns, the 5th Order Peak Emperor, whose strength was unfathomable, and there were many outrageous treasures. Despite this reason, he did not feel that he could sit with the 5th Order Emperor or even the 6th Order Emperor. In the primitive universe, a 4th Order Emperor in Zhen Wuyang is a whole sky, let alone these people. I think Wushuang Daoist is also a sword repairer, and the origin is so strong. I don't know where it comes from. Elder Zhu Jian asked. In fact, he has always had doubts in his heart. He couldn't see the origin of Jian Wushuang, but the leaked aura told him that he definitely possessed the power of the emperor, but Jian Wushuang's realm was only 9th rank. This is very strange. And the palace lord also told him that he must be careful to receive these two, not only because of Venerable Agni. In Liuzhou, though Venerable Agni is domineering, he has not yet overwhelmed them. The ancestor of the Shang-Qing dynasty, the strength is equal to that of Venerable Fire, and even a little stronger. It doesn't make sense to be so careful because of the words of Venerable Fire. He also took this opportunity to test out Jian Wushuang's details. Jian Wushuang heard the question from Elder Jiujian and didn't know how to answer for a while. He couldn't say that he came from another universe, right? When he was tangled, the old man with horns raised his eyebrows and said to him, "Tell him you are from the Tomb Mountain." Tomb God Mountain? What place is this? Before he could think about it, he replied, "I am from the secret realm of the Tomb of the Gods, the Mountain of the Tombs." Jian Wushuang's voice is not too high, but everyone here who is not a person with ears and eyes has heard the 3 words Tomb Mountain. Tomb Mountain. Elder Nine Swords, forbearing the shocked look on his face. Among the 4 great secret realms, it is said that the heaven is the head, but when it comes to top combat power, it should be regarded as the secret realm of the Tomb of the Gods. Legend has it that the 4 great secret realms are all built by the Tomb Mountain, where a true god, the of creation, is sleeping there, and White Tiger Hall is the guard of the true god. There are also the legendary spirit guards, each of whom has the power to reach the sky and can kill the existence of the 6th Order Emperor. These legends many emperors know, especially for the Tomb Mountain, which is more powerful than the temple. At the beginning, countless people went to the Tomb of the Gods one after another, but also to go to the Mountain of the Tomb to find out. It is a pity that no one has been able to go to the Tomb Mountain. Most of them have fallen halfway, whether it is a 5th Order Emperor or a 6th Order Emperor. There is no survivor. Jian Wushuang saw their shocked expressions and then turned to look at the old man with horns. It turned out to be like this. You inheritors, when you enter the 4 secret realms in the future, you will all go to the Tomb Mountain, and then you will be stationed in the White Tiger Palace, Senate Palace. But in terms of name, you are from the Tomb Mountain. The old man Yang Jiao explained. Jian Wushuang asked through voice transmission, "Senior, what is there on the Tomb Mountain? Is it really the place where the gods sit and transform?" The old man with horns just shook his head silently. He really didn't know. Perhaps only the master of the 4 halls will know the hidden secrets. These people are the core of the Temple of Discord. Although the true spirit is the controller, he is only a subsequent evolution. Many funerals in the past, the gods of the gods were handed over to the four halls. This is also what the four halls have been pursuing the gods of the gods. Command, the reason for daring to challenge the real spirit. It's just that now the power of the four halls has begun to decline, and the true spirit is the only controller. Elder Nine Swords originally thought Jian Wushuang, perhaps a senior in the White Tiger Hall, came from the mysterious Tomb Mountain. For a while, he became more restrained and humble, and he didn't dare to show the slightest air. When some other emperors looked at him, they also showed envy. No wonder the Taoist monarch is so powerful and able to make the Shangqing Palace treat. So politely, he turned out to be from the Tomb Mountain. These people were okay, and they calmed down after a while. In recent years, there has been a lot of news about the Tomb Mountain, and many powerful creatures have also emerged from the tomb, and they have also reached the secret realm of the heavens. But those people, the terrifying strength of each body, are all special beings, and their strength is the top wave of people among the Sixth Order emperors. For people from the secret realm of the Tomb of the Gods, they all have a kind of fear and worry, especially the mountain of the tomb. Nie Yuan, who was sitting in the last row, also heard the three words Tomb Mountain. His eyes changed immediately, and he stood up directly. Tomb God Mountain. He was also a direct descendant of the ancient sect of Shangqing Palace, so he naturally heard about the Tomb Mountain. TXT download address. Phone reading. Chapter 5308. He is not interested in the mystery on the Tomb God Mountain, but there is a legend in it that he has been asking for verification, that is reversing time and space, and resurrecting those who have fallen. One-armed Nie Yuan stepped forward and walked directly towards Jian Wushuang's position. The old man with horns, feeling threatened at the moment, the strange emperor suddenly rushed towards Jian Wushuang, immediately made his breath soar, and stopped the people coming. Boom! Nie Yuan's breath was a bit messy and anxious, and he didn't intend to kill, so the old man with horns didn't kill him, but he also slightly punished him directly. The Fourth Order emperor actually pretended to be the Third Order. The old man with horns shook the void and directly suppressed Nie Yuan to his knees. Jian Wushuang calmly stood up slowly. He also didn't understand it a bit, and he didn't seem to know this one-armed man. There is only one side. Why is it suddenly rushing towards him? Is it because of the Tomb Mountain? Elder Nine Swords stood aside, his expression a little embarrassed. His reaction was not as good as that of the old horned man. Although they were all peak emperors, there were still some gaps. However, he did not expect that there would be people here who would dare to be so bold and disturb the distinguished guests of the Shangqing Palace. Nie Yuan, you are so courageous. Don't hurry up and apologize for disturbing the distinguished guests of the Shangqing Palace. Although the tone of Elder Jiujian was cold, but the words were clear. The apology would solve it. Speaking of it, he is still Nie Yuan's uncle. He was also the first person in the contemporary era, and then he was Nie Yuan. How happy he was at that time. With an outstanding descendant, the Shangqing Palace will be even stronger in the future. But what he didn't expect was that such a dazzling Tianjiao. In the end, because of a demon girl, he broke off from Shangqing Palace and entered the Beiluomen, a small mountain gate that even the Sixth Order Emperor did not have. Not only did the Shangqing Palace be ashamed, but also such a good kendo embryo was wasted in vain. Nie Yuan's eyes were sunken, and he was very lonely. He once bowed his head with the sword, but at this moment he would rather bow his head for the woman in his heart. Jian Wushuang knew that the other party was not malicious, so he pressed his hand and said, "Senior Yang, forget it. I think this fellow Taoist is not malicious. Don't thank Taoist Wushuang too much." Elder Jiujian said coldly, "Thank you, fellow Taoist. I was really a little bit reckless just now." "No problem." Jian Wushuang waved his hand. This matter was really not a big deal, and he was also taken aback by the behavior of the old man with horns. In his opinion, there is really no need for such a riot. He didn't know, but the true spirit had clearly ordered him to be sent to the primitive realm intact, and Wuzhuo let the old horn man take care of him, and the old horn man would be responsible for any problems. Although Yang Sanmu is a veteran of the A character, Wu's was anger can bear, but where the real spirit is, he doesn't have the slightest face. I won't be so easy to talk next time. The old man with horns put his palms away, and his momentum receded. Nie Yuan wiped off the blood that overflowed from the corner of his mouth, and stood up. "This fellow Taoist, I don't know if you can answer me a question." After Nie Yuan stood up, he asked such a ridiculous question. This caused the rest of the people to take a breath. "I didn't kill him just now, probably because of the Shangqing Palace. Even if he was expelled from the Shangqing Palace, he was still the leader of the Shangqing Palace, the leader of the previous generation. It is really impossible to justify killing him in public or just because of the collision. However, it's a bit exaggerated now, and I have to ask any questions inch by inch." Before Jian Wushuang and the old man Yang Jiao answered, Elder Jujian became angry and said angrily, "Arrogant." The eyes of the old man with horns also went cold, and for a while his sword was tense. Jian Wushuang, standing in the middle, didn't know what to say for a while. He didn't know what Nie Yuan wanted to ask. Even if he did, he might not know. "Friend Wushuang, I'm really embarrassed this time, but don't worry, I will personally drive this person out." Elder Jujian took a step forward and was ready to do it now. Jian Wushuang reached out his hand to stop him and said calmly, "No need. This fellow Taoist, just say what you want to ask." Nie Yuan was overjoyed when he heard this and hurriedly asked, "On the Tomb God Mountain, can you really reverse time and space and bring the dead back to life?" This, Jian Wushuang hadn't answered yet, but the old horned man on the side spoke first. "Yes, but you have to be able to go up." "Yes." Jian Wushuang also followed. To be honest, he didn't know, but when the old horned man had spoken, he also said, "Reverse time and space." It seems to be to resurrect the Taoist couple. Infatuation. After Jian Wushuang understood the other party's thoughts, he was also a little admired. When Nie Yuan heard that he wanted an answer, his whole body changed. The original decadent aura faded, and a brand new aura erupted from him. Fourth Order Emperor. At this time, other talents reacted. Nie Yuan had already stepped into Tier 4, and at this moment, he directly exposed the aura of Tier 4 peak. "Uncle Nie." The Qingluo girl sitting in the last row looked at the uncle who had been melancholy, renewed her former style, and was happy for him from the bottom of her heart. After being seated again, Elder Zhoujian had been talking with Jian Wushuang about the past in Liuzhou, and Jian Wushuang was also very interesting. In the dark, he was communicating with the old man with horns. "Senior, is it true to reverse time and space? Why, do you also have a Taoist companion to resurrect?" Jian Wushuang smiled awkwardly, and then said, No, I am more curious about the reversal of time and space. As far as I know, time and space contain the two origins of space and time, and the origin of space is fairly common. It is the origin of Emperor's cultivation. What about the origin of time? How come I have never seen any related records? You kid understands a lot. The origin of space is related to the realm of the Emperor. Once you have successfully controlled it, you will step into another realm. The other realm is the origin of time. Your current strength, you read www.okanshu.com does not need to know the origin of time. Wait until you reach the Sixth Order Emperor first. The old man with horns smiled slightly. In fact, he didn't know much. He didn't understand the origin of space, let alone time. That is what the gods are working on. Jian Wushuang was unwilling to give up, and then asked, Senior, if time and space can be reversed on Tomb God Mountain, why did you tell Nie Yuan? It's not because of resonance. After he finished speaking, with a strange expression on his face, he turned to look at the old man with horns. Humph, you kid, guess what? I'm just absolutely pitiful. Give him a thought. But if he really has the strength to go to the Tomb Mountain, he really hopes to resurrect his Taoist companion. But in my opinion, it is very difficult. The Sixth Order Emperor is just a threshold. The old man with horns commented, The Sixth Order Emperor is the threshold. Jian Wushuang was not too surprised about this. After all, many Sixth Order Emperors fell into the Tomb of the Gods, and even the Tomb Mountain was not found anywhere. TXT download address. Phone reading. Chapter 53:09. In terms of the true size of the four secret realms, the Tomb of the Gods is much larger than the other three secret realms combined. No matter how fast the Sixth Order Emperor is, without a teleportation formation, it is not easy to find the Tomb Mountain. Many of them were not found in the Tomb Mountain, and they fell in the middle of the journey. Jian Wushuang also knew a lot about the old man with horns. He was an old man with a knife-mouthed tofu heart. On the surface, he had the heart to kill Nie Yuan, but in fact, he gave the other party hope and gave him a goal to pursue again. The two are not in transmission. Jian Wushuang and Elder Zhou Jian also had a very happy conversation. Friend Wushuang, if you can afford it, just call me a friend. Elders are nothing. Elder Zhou Jian picked up the wine glass and drank it in one gulp. Jian Wushuang was also a happy person and immediately drank the drink, and the two almost knelt down and bowed to each other. Friend Wushuang, look, the tide is rising. Zhou Jian put down the wine glass and pointed at the lake. Sure enough, a ripple containing the spirit of heaven and earth gradually rose, shining with the sun and the moon. Hum! The horn sounded, and the tide watching officially began. The tide starts at the foot of the mountain and stretches to the tide-watching pavilion on the mountainside. The scene is spectacular. Jian Wushuang saw this scene, but his complexion changed slightly. The Jiujian elder on the side thought it was Jian Wushuang who hadn't seen such scenes and was shocked. He also had a sense of pride in his heart. Even the people from the Tomb Mountain are shocked by this. Their reputation after going to the Qing Palace will have to rise to a higher level. In the past, it was only famous in the north, but in the future it will be famous in the four secret realms and become the super sect. Jian Wushuang was shocked, but not because of the shock of such a grand occasion, but because the rolling tide had something to do with the origin he had absorbed outside Qiu Huang's city. According to Qiu Huang, the origin of that one was a female sword immortal who left behind and pierced Qiu Huang's city with a sword. From the origin of that sword immortal, Jian Wushuang had seen the scene of that sword. It is very similar to the tide at this time. Sword Qi rolls, sweeping the world. He will never forget that scene. Could it be that the sword fairy is still related to the Shangqing Palace? Jian Wushuang directly transmitted the sound of the old man with horns and asked about the female sword fairy who destroyed Qiu Huang City. You are talking about Yun Jiangxian. She belongs to the oldest group of strong men. She is terrifyingly strong. It can be said that she is the first person under the Divine Lord. I have nothing to do with her, and I don't know much. The old man Yang Horn was a little surprised. Jian Wushuang would ask him about Yun Jianxian. Could it be that this little guy got the inheritance of Yun Jianxian? It is also possible. When he entered the temple of Qishan, at that time the whole Qishan line began to sing badly. Create the 4 halls and build the Qishan Hall. Yun Jiangxian, Zhang is also the most beautiful Under the command of Qishan, it can be said that he is the strongest person among the emperors. He has fought all his life, is cold, and never hugs. The only person who is relatively close is the puppet created by a god, that is, the lord of the palace, Zhu Yi. Before she fell, she gave all the treasures of her life to Zhu Yi. It's really possible for Jian Wushuang to get Yun Jiangxian's inheritance. Yun Jianxian. Jian Wushuang remembered the name deeply. At the beginning of the tide watching, the lord of the Shangqing Palace visited in person. Many people stood up to respectfully worship. The contemporary sword master, although not the top in strength, has a very high reputation, even surpassing the ancestor of the Shangqing dynasty. It is also very good for those who are in casual cultivators, so the reputation of Shangqing Palace is very high in casual cultivators. Especially Jian Xiu, the Shangqing Palace gave a chance to watch the tide, which is a great favor. Everyone, the tide watching has begun. It's not more cramped. Please take a seat. The lord of the Shangqing Palace, wearing a blue robe, used only a simple wooden branch for his hair, very hackberry. In his case, there is only a teapot, no drinks. Everyone sat down again and began to watch the tide, from which they could comprehend Kendo. The old horned man and the palace lord of Shangqing were next to each other, and the two were chatting with each other. It looks like they don't know each other. The talk was also about Venerable Agni or about the Senate Palace. The opponent is a sixth-order emperor, and he is also the lord of a sect, and he is also known as the sword master of the world. Although the old man with horns has a high posture, he does not dare to neglect. The tide gradually climbed, and the sword intent contained in it became stronger. In this lake, swords have been washed all the year round. I don't know how many divine swords have been washed. The sword intent contained in it is very mixed, and I can only experience one of them. Jian Wushuang looked carefully, but couldn't start. In the end, he just learned from it. What he cultivated was the ultimate swordsmanship, pursuing purity. The sword intent in this lake was too mixed and unsuitable. He could only learn from one of them, not more. The tide lasted for an hour, and finally climbed to the mountainside, and the sword intent reached the strongest moment. Many sword repairs broke through at this time, especially the Taoist Tianjiao. Many people have already made breakthroughs. Many people come here because they have reached a bottleneck and want to use the sense of sword in the lake while watching the tide to break through their origins. Especially those casual practitioners, they have the largest number of breakthroughs. The young girl in Qingluo sitting in the last row had a bright light in her eyes, and she also broke through, breaking through the 8th level of the origin in one fell swoop, stepping into the 9th level, having reached a perfect state, and her combat power has naturally skyrocketed. The young master named Wei Liang was sweating profusely at this time. An elder Gu on the side had been guarding his surroundings and arranging a barrier for him, but unfortunately he still did not break through in the end. Damn it, it's just a little bit. Once I break through my original Tao, I will be completely consummated, and I will be able to join the Tao when I go back. Wei Liang was a little unwilling. Yanli evaporated the sweat on his forehead, and his face was very ugly. Elder Gu on the side, afraid of his mood change, comforted. Young master, there is a sword tied behind. Don't be discouraged. The sword intent contained in the tide is not much, and it's too complicated. When the Shangqing Palace was established, this lake was still a small spring. The ancestor of the Shangqing dynasty used to wash his sword here, and later he enlightened the place after he obtained the Tao. The sword repair in the Shangqing Palace also developed a habit of washing swords here. From ancient times to the present, I don't know how many epochs have passed. The washed sword can fill the lake. Because of the washing of the sword, there is a tide watching. As for the sword tide, it was all the disciples of the Shangqing Palace. Unleashing the power of the source, the sword pierced the sky from the top to the bottom of the mountain. Even the ancestor of the Qing dynasty would separate a strand of golden sword and follow the tide of swords. This is the most meaningful thing in the Shangqing Palace, and it will be held every epoch. One is to attract northern Tianjiao to watch the tide, and the other is to promote the power of Shangqing Palace. It can be regarded as a means to reveal strength. It is precisely because of this method that every year there will be countless sword repairs, squeezing their heads to enter the Shangqing Palace. At midnight, the temperature of the entire northern territory dropped suddenly. The slanting moon hung high, and a ray of golden sword light lit up from the top of the mountain. It's jamming! Jian Wushuang cried, secretly. The cold wind was violent, the golden sword light was shining, and the moment the sword rang with the sun and the moon, the entire mountaintop lit up. The error-free chapters of Sword Sovereign of 10,000 Ways will continue to be updated in Shubha. There are no advertisements in the site. Please collect and recommend Shubha. If you like Wandao Sword Sovereign, please collect it. Wandao Sword Sovereign has the fastest update speed. TXT download address. Phone reading. Chapter 5310. Countless long swords that radiated light rose into the air to accompany the golden long sword. Elder 9 swords on the side, and even the palace master of Shangqing raised one hand one after another. A ray of sword light burst out and rushed to the top of the mountain. In a short while, 109,000 swords of the Shangqing Palace gathered on the top of the mountain. Sword qi condensed, turned into tide, and swept from the top of the mountain. It was Jian Wushuang that he was very knowledgeable and shocked when he saw this twilight. He couldn't help but want to dive with the sword tide. Staring at the sword tide, the origins of various types of kendo suddenly appeared. Jian Wushuang carefully studied in order to get some help. The entire sword tide lasted for an hour, and the time was very short, but it was of extraordinary significance. It helped the sword repairman who came here and showed the power of the Shangqing Palace. It is indeed strong enough. Among those sword lights, Jian Wushuang can see that there are at least 19 swords that are the origin of the Fifth Order Emperor. Of course, depending on the strength of the origin, it should be comparable to the origin of the Fourth Order Emperor outside. There are only 2 of the Sixth Order Emperors, which are the source of the swordsmanship of the Shangqing Palace Master and the Shangqing Ancestor. There are more Fourth Order Emperors, hundreds of them. The Third Order Emperor has passed thousands. One case is comparable to a universe. While Jian Wushuang shook the foundation of Qishan Temple, he also felt sad. The origins of these practitioners are flawed and too weak. It is 1 level worse than the Emperor outside, and may only be half worse in combat power, but the upper limit is much worse. It's no wonder that the importance of an ultimate Emperor surpasses the sum of the native practitioners of the 4 secret realms. If the ultimate Emperor had stepped into the 6th rank, he might be able to slaughter the entire 4 secret realms by himself. Even the special life in the Tomb of the Gods can't stop it. Here is the ultimate power. The sword tide ended. Jian Wushuang stood up and was still unfinished. In terms of origin, he doesn't need to learn from, but in terms of sword intent, he still has a lot to learn. Friends of Wushuang Taoist, if the sword tide is over, you are interested in participating in the sword match. Elder Zhu Jian asked, then sword. When the tide of swords in the Shangqing Palace ends, 13 arenas will be set up on the lake, and the contemporary 13 swords of the Shangqing Palace will personally guard the ring. To be able to become a descendant of Teia's sword in Shangqing Palace, they are not ordinary people, and their strength is comparable to that of the Emperor. The leader of the 13 people has a record of defeating the Emperor. Although not as good as Nie Yuan back then, it was enough to Megatron Liuzhou. Oh, then I have to learn something later. Jian Wushuang replied, He is not in a hurry, although there are only 2 days. 1 day has now passed. The strong are only in a flash. Wait and see. There is still time for him to shoot. After the palace, Lord of Shangqing nodded with some elders. Elder Jiuqian got up and presided over. Everyone, here are 13 golden swords. Each golden sword has the origin of the kendo left by the ancestor of the Shangqing dynasty. Whoever can win a ring can get a golden sword. When Elder Nine Swords finished speaking, he threw 13 golden swords into the air and suspended them above the lake. Golden sword. Many Jian Xiu looked at those golden swords with fiery eyes. The original kendo of Shangqing Patriarch. If you can get one and you can benefit from it carefully, even if you don't have to rely on this golden sword, you can exchange countless treasures that can improve yourself. Once there was a Sanxiu who won a golden sword and was specially invited by the Shangqing Palace to enter the court as a succession disciple. His status was the same as that of the 13 Tai Aegean. There was also a Taoist monarch from a small sect who won the golden sword, auctioned it on the spot, and sold it for an astronomical price of 100,000 sacred stones. 100,000 sacred stones are comparable to the wealth of some emperors. Everyone held their breath and waited for the golden sword to fall into place. Many Taoists were gearing up to give it a try. At this time, 13 arenas have also risen on the surface of the lake, and a sword-bearer, male and female, stands above each. These people are the descendants of Tai Aegean. Tai Aegean was not created by the ancestor of the Shangqing dynasty, but by a disciple of the ancestor of the Shangqing dynasty. The disciple who created the Tai Aegean at the time created this kind of genius when he was a fourth-order emperor. It can allow Daojun to perfectly display his full strength and even have such heaven-defying methods as amplifying his origin. It's a pity that he died young, and not long after he became a fourth-order emperor, he fell. At the beginning, the ancestor of the Shangqing dynasty was extremely furious, and a sword of cold light shocked the entire northern realm and killed 16 emperors related to this matter overnight. 4 of them are fifth-order emperors. These people are not ordinary emperors. They have sects behind them, but they are shocked that no sect dared to come forward for them, and they didn't even dare to collect the corpses. It is precisely because of this shot that the ancestor of the Shangqing dynasty is famous in the secret realm of heaven. Taishu Gate, Han Wuxian challenges the 7th Tai Aegean. A Taoist sitting in the 3rd row rose to the sky and fell directly onto the 7th ring. His strength is only about half a step from the emperor. It is difficult to win the golden sword. At the same time, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place immediately stood out 13 powerful Taoists. The weakest is the peak Daojun. Jian Wushuang glanced at him. This was the strongest among the 13 people, and he had no hope of winning the golden sword. The original kendo of the 6th order emperor. He was also very excited about this opportunity. The 13 Tai swords of the Shangqing Palace were very powerful, but their origins were a bit weak. In comparison, the strength of the source is as strong as the Taoist monarch of the primitive universe. In terms of combat power, it is comparable to native monarchs, but not comparable to external monarchs. In contrast, in general, the stronger than the outside world are half a step ahead. The half-step emperor here may only have the power of the Taoist of the primitive universe. Those who are comparable to the emperor can have half a step, and those who defeat the emperor have the power of the emperor. Probably so, but if there is no opportunity for this temple of the gods, I am afraid that the Dayan immortal of the primitive universe will be the strongest and comparable to the emperor and can be comparable to the Tianjiao among these aboriginals. But this is just an ancient sect. The 4 great secret realms are so vast. This is just a sect of Tianjiao, and the quality of it is really to be compared, and the original universe can't match it. But now that there is a chance for the Temple of Qixin, it is hard to say. Just talk about the Dianxian. He saw Wan Xing, Hui Qing, Ji Chaoyang, and himself are much better than the 13 Tai Aegean. Ji Chaoyang's 9th turn has the power of the Taoist monarch, which will directly rival the emperor when he reaches consummation. In the 4 secret realms, they have the power to kill ordinary emperors. And now, Jian Wushuang, even if he didn't have the 9th rank consummation, he could still kill the native emperor. These 13 Tai A swords, except for the sword chief, he was confident that he would defeat within 3 strokes. It was the strength of the sword chief that he couldn't see through. The divine body is very strong, and the basic divine body must surpass him, but I don't know if it has reached 10,000 times the level. The origin is SOSO, only the ordinary second-grade origin. The 13 players who played this time lost very quickly. If it weren't for these young masters to save some face, I'm afraid they would have to lose if they met each other. TXT download address, phone reading. Chapter 53:11. The people present didn't care too much. The defeat of these 13ths is also expected, and it would be strange if whoever wins. How could the Daozi of the Shangqing Palace be defeated so easily? Every time after watching the tide, only 1 or 2 can successfully win the sword. Like the Tea sword of Nie Yuan's generation, he has not failed for 7 consecutive times of watching the tide. In the end, he attracted the super emperor from the ancient land of Zhongzhou to come and fought with Nie Yuan. In the end, it was only a tie. For the sake of the dignity of the other party, he gave the golden sword to the other party. Jian Wushuang had already got up, stood at the railing, and scanned Tai Aegianzi on the ring. Although there is a lot of difference with him in origin, many ancient swordsmanship Jian Wushuang have never seen before, and I took the opportunity to observe them. The mystery in it is very delicate, but it is a pity that the source of the practitioners used is too weak to be fully utilized. Jian Wushuang's eyes were hot, and he secretly said in his heart, as expected of the ancient sect, Tea's sword is indeed a rare top-level swordsmanship, which is very suitable for Taoist cultivation. Based on the origin of these people, it is extremely difficult to become a Taoist if you are in the outside world. But after practicing Tea's sword, you can become strong like this. Swordsmanship is great, blending elements into one. The sword intent contained in each sword was very powerful, much stronger than the sword intent he had seen. This is a kendo practitioner. A man is like a sword, his heart is like a sword, and his shape is better than a sword. Unfortunately, there are some flaws in the source. Although the origin of the Temple of Qixin is stronger, it is stronger than the origin of the original universe, but it is far too complicated after all. Not suitable for kendo. If it is the Wandao school, it is very popular in the 4 secret realms. Unfortunately, he has not seen any relevant records so far. In the first round, Tai Aegian wins. Elder 9, Swords said loudly. All 13 challengers were injured. They either conceded defeat or were knocked out of the ring. When they returned to their positions, the Shangqing Palace would send stones to help them recover from their injuries. This point has encouraged many people to challenge. Of course, ordinary Taoists will naturally not go up and be embarrassed. Soon, after more than a dozen rounds of challenges, strong players began to play. Tiananmen, I wish Bacha challenged the 13th sword. The human voice is like Hong Zhong, embodies the bloated, full-faced flesh, and the suffocation in the whole body is extremely strong. It is a man in the magic door. Many people trembled when they heard the demon gate. It was a super sect that was no less than the Shangqing Palace, and it was the top 3 major demon sect in the Northern Territory. Zhu Bacha is a very powerful demon in the contemporary Tianma sect, and in the future is also a giant of the magic way. looking at his size. Most people really can't see that he is practicing kendo. Boom. Slowly stepping from the second row. I wish Baka's body is huge. The physical body is naturally a perfect state, and the divine body is more than 8,000 times. That is, the origin of kendo is a little weaker. Jian Wushuang's eyes were deep. This person was qualified to challenge the 13 Tai Ajian, and the challenge was still the weakest person among the 13 Tai Ajian. This made him a little surprised. He didn't even see it thoroughly, except for the leader. The other 12 swords have the same aura. It is too difficult for the same rank to see the origin of the other party. Not everyone has the same power of mind. As powerful, turning his gaze, he looked at the young man with white hair, just like himself. I understood in my heart. It was the voice of the Fifth Order Emperor of Demon Dao, who told Zhu Bacha that he was the weakest and challenged him. After the previous rounds of challenges, 13 Tai Ajian more or less leaked some strength. How can the Emperor's eyesight fail to see who is strong and who is weak? Even if the lake water is full of sword intent and origin, the spatial origin of the Emperor's grasp can also push away these mixed sword intent and see the essence of it. Zhu Baka's appearance has made many people move forward. After all, it is a peak battle of the same tier. In this round, in addition to this demon giant, there is also a Dayan immortal who is comparable to the Emperor, whose background is generally not noticed by many people. Except for these two, the rest are all half-step emperors. Qiu Wang didn't catch a cold with these, so he chatted with the palace lord of Shanqing a few words. About the Yuan Lao Palace, he closed his eyes again to rest up his mind, and he really looked like a worldly expert. However, in secret, it has been transmitting Jian Wushuang's voice. Boy, you can bear this, but that is the original swordsmanship of the ancestor of the Shangqing dynasty, so you are not afraid that others will take it first. Jian Wushuang didn't look back, still staring at 13 Tai Ajian, but silently said in his heart, "Wait a second. The kendo has the only origin. Just get a wisp. There is no need to be too ostentatious." He is not sure these 13 strands of golden swords have different kendo origins. Thanks, Tusk. If I tell you that the origins of these 13 strands of kendo are different, are you going to end now? Different. The only way of kendo is the purest way of killing and cutting. How can it be inconsistent? It's really different. The ancestor of the Shangqing dynasty followed the 10,000 sword stream, which is very similar to the 10,000 Dao school, not weaker than the ultimate way. Wan Jianlu, Jian Wushuang, was a little surprised. Can kendo be practiced like this? How did you know? Jian Wu said in a bilingual and curious voice. The old horned man snorted, and then said, "You think the Yuan Lao Palace eats dry food. Even if you are not familiar with these ancient sects, are you still not familiar with these powerful Sixth Order emperors? The ordinary Sixth Order is nothing more. The current Shangqing Palace master's strength is very average. When he was at the Fifth Order Emperor, it was only the end of the 9 swords. After breaking through the 6th rank, he took the position of the palace lord. I never thought about him at the beginning. Who would think that this servant was only the 6th rank, and even the ancestor of the Qing dynasty was shocked at the beginning. Although the combat power is not strong, it is also a 6th Order Emperor anyway. In terms of combat power, it was a fight with the old horned man at the top of Tier 5. For those truly top-ranked 6th Order Emperors, the Yuan Lao Palace has just been established and began to study these people. After all, in the future, you must have a sense of measure if you want to solicit or suppress. The 4 secret realms must be integrated and unified sooner or later to restore the glory of the ancients. The current scattered sand has no value, but is still a burden. The White Tiger Palace cannot be suppressed, so the Senate Palace must act. In the Palace of the Elders, there are several fierce 6th Order emperors, no weaker than the White Tiger Palace. Just like Wuzhua, who was once a named disciple of the God of God, his inheritance might be beyond their imagination. Otherwise, he might have died in the secret realm of the earth when he opened up wasteland. Compared with the earth, the heaven is much more stable. At least the Sixth Order Emperors are very honest and will not easily provoke the White Tiger Palace. Boy, you don't have much time. You can take advantage of this opportunity. Maybe once you make a move, the Shangqing Palace will see that you are so powerful and will give you some treasures. Jian Wushuang looked surprised and said through the sound transmission, "Can you do this? I am a dying immortal, so I won't let the ancestor Shangqing treat it like this." Humph, what do you know? Even if the ancestor Shangqing doesn't like it, the current palace lord of the Shangqing Palace will give you some benefits. TXT download address, phone reading, chapter 5312. Just think about it. 2. In the future, these inheritors, after they have settled in the 4 secret realms, will have a very high status. The future will definitely be high level. It is normal for these indigenous emperors to have a cause and effect. He also learned a lot of secret information from the old man Yangjiao. For example, in the future, they will be named in the Tomb Mountain, and later they will go to the heavens and settle in the White Tiger Palace or the Senate Palace. The potential is unlimited in the future. They are still the first batch of inheritors, and there will be countless inheritors in the future. According to their view, time is unlimited, and it will not take long. The entire 4 secret realms belong to their world, and it will not be a problem even to take charge of the Temple of the Gods in the future. Otherwise, why do you recruit so many inheritors? Captive? It is impossible. There will definitely be a purpose behind it. Old chauffeur. I don't know how long he has lived. He has never seen anything in the world. He knows this kind of thing best. There were a lot of bigwigs who gave him a lot of benefits in private and asked him to create all kinds of treasures. To stabilize one's power, this can be considered an early investment. Boy, don't look down on the strong, and don't look down on them. Jian Wushuang nodded. Although Tier 6 powerhouses are strong, they also have their own needs. The Temple of Qixin is a true spirit. As a successor, one day they will come into contact with the core level. Now give him some benefits for the inheritance and what can be counted. And the Sixth Order Emperor, the shot will not be small. Just take out some good things and let him, the dying immortal, benefit infinitely. Here is a secret realm of heaven, retaining the brilliance of the ancients. Absolutely learned mystery, the most precious treasures. Many are. In particular, Tai Ajian made his eyes hot for the inexperienced knowledge in the Shangqing Palace. The 13 Tai A swords who came in with such strength have a lot to do with Tai as unique skills. This time, the young master of the Demon Gate came to an end, and Jian Wushuang paid special attention. The battle of these powerful men can test the power of Tai Jian. Boom. Dawn in space. A streamer passed, and the 13 challengers fell into the corresponding ring. Zhu Bacha twisted his body and fell into the 13th ring. I've heard that 13 Jianzi, Langfeng's Taijian, is exceptionally fierce. Come and ask for advice today. 13 swordsmen, Dao No, chasing the wind. His sword is indeed very powerful on the one hand, but the weakness is that the divine body and the flesh are too weak. Although he has the innate treasure armor, his defense is still his biggest weakness. His swordsmanship is often also very sharp, and he will be in desperation every time. Fortunately, he is very flexible in speed, and his opponent is defeated before he touches his body. Chasing the wind sword. He didn't talk nonsense. The streamer flashed across, and then rushed out with the narrow-bladed long sword in his hand, instantly pulling out, killing Zhu Bacha. Zhu Bacha stood still, motionless. When the chasing sword rushed in, The magic flame rose up into the sky, and a sharp sword without a front suddenly appeared, directly blocking the chasing sword. Psalm. One blow was blocked, and the chasing sword quickly returned to the sword, turned around, and opened the distance. Zhu, Bacchus' name. He has heard of it. Although the woofing épée was powerful, it was too cumbersome. As long as he kept harassing around Zhu Bacha, he would naturally let the opponent leak his flaws. Then he would break the defense and defeat Zhu Bacha. Zhu Bacha also understands this idea of his, and he made preparations before going on the court. In the eyes of outsiders, the ring is only tens of miles long and wide, but the inside is a small world with infinite distance. It is the treasure in the palm. It does not limit the performance of practitioners. Can you only run? Faced with the repeated attacks of the wind sword, I swam to and fro, wishing Bacha unmoved. Every time I can withstand it cleverly. Hustling sword raised his brows. The strength of this magic sect giant really surprised him, and the hope of defeating the opponent in this way was too slim. The giant is really strong, but I underestimated it. The wind-chased sword is like the wind, floating like the world. In the pavilion of Watching Tide, many Taoists saw their palms sweating, and they were obviously looking at the fight on the 13th ring. The fighting on the rest of the ring is already lonely at this time, and the fight on the 13th arena has just begun now. Jian Wushuang's hands were itchy when he saw it. The emperor of the demon sect, with a smile on his face, was very confident in this battle. Brother Jiu Jian, look at these two younger generations. Who has a better chance of winning? The elder nine swords standing in the forefront frowned slightly. This monster giant seemed to have come prepared. Without waiting for him to speak, the great elder of the head of the nine swords spoke. Because the Tai Aegean on the field is his registered disciple, once the harmony is successful, he will be his personal disciple in the future. So naturally he has to talk about something now. Friends of the Six Sons, why do you care about winning or losing too much in the competition between juniors? Everything is for competition. The demon giant, Six Sons demon, with dark eyes, turned his head to look at the great elder, who is the head of the nine swords, and said in a vicious voice, "The great elder, what is said is not like this. See the future of martial art." Okay, in that case, it's better to give their heads a nod to see who is the strongest and the weakest of these two juniors, and who is the strongest. The great elder, what is waiting for is this sentence, now makes a final decision. The other party came for generations, and they weren't vegetarians, but here was the Shangqing Palace, and the chasing sword was his disciple, and he was more familiar with his strength than anyone else. The two Tier 5 pinnacle emperors got on the bar, and many people looked at this side, obviously waiting for a good show. The people of the demon sect acted unscrupulously, and the words are said to be up to this point. As a decent sect, the Shangqing Palace naturally cannot fall behind. Thanks, Tusk, you deserve to be the great elder of the Shangqing Palace, and the exit is refreshing. The giant of the magic path, the Luyang demon master, waved his hand and took out 200,000 sacred stones, floating in front of him, walking in a hurry when he came, and he didn't bring any good things. So let's take advantage of these gods. Under the recommendation, Mimi Reading Gap is really good. It is worth installing one for book friends, and Android and Apple mobile phones support it. 200,000 sacred stones have exceeded the total worth of many third-order emperors. The Grand Elder of the Shangqing Palace was not to be outdone, but what he took out was not a divine time, but a fruit with a smooth surface. This is Kendo Jengua, a good treasure with a price, but no market. Most of the people here are sword repairers. How can you not know these swordsman treasures and let down a breath of cold for a while? Jian Wushuang was also jealous at the side. The fruit was very attractive to him. The dozens of emperors sitting in the first row, after seeing this scene, also took out some treasures, but the value was average, only about tens of thousands of sacred stones. After all, the two below had little to do with them. These treasures will be kept by Brother Nine Swords. No problem. Elder Nine Swords smiled slightly, although 13 Tai Aegean was their own, but now that they are a notary public, they can't have any favoritism. Dear fellow Taoists, are there any other prizes to be drawn? Chapter 53:13. The Emperor sitting in the back. You look at me, and I look at you. Everyone with a discerning eye can see that they are all the big guys sitting in the first row playing. They are not for fun, but for expressing their opinions. One is to support the Demon Gate, and the other is to support the Shanqing Palace. Although the two super sects are not in the same state, they often fight each other. After all, with such a large sect, their horizons are no longer in one city and one state. Said it is the color head. Now the Elder Nine Swords has accumulated millions of sacred stones and many exotic flowers and fruits. The total value is more than 2 million sacred stones. Such a huge bet is already comparable to the wealth of some Fourth-Order emperors. In the 4 great secret realms, the Fourth-Order Emperor is also the top powerhouse, the Fifth-Order Emperor is the man of the wind, and the Sixth-Order Emperor is the peak powerhouse who sees the dragon and sees the end, and these talents are the wavers of the heavens, and so on. Just as Elder Nine Swords was preparing to seal the disc, the Taoist Luyang, the Taoist of Demon Tao, interrupted. Why, Brother Luyang, we still have to raise. Elder Jujian smiled. Taoist Luyang slanted his eyebrows and said with contempt, This treasure is not good enough for me. I suggest these two little guys. Whoever wins, these treasures go to whom, you should not look down on these treasures. Right. The rest of them froze for a while, then laughed. This proposal is good. I support it. The great elders all agreed, and the others naturally had no opinion. 2 million divine stones. If the general Fourth-Order Emperor may still be calling out, but the few Fourth-Order Emperors who can be ranked in the first row, which one is not the backbone of the future of the sect, each of the strengths can reach the sky, and they all have the peak Fourth Order. The battle strength of that family is not over 100 million. Who would fancy this treasure? Not to mention those Fifth-Order Emperors. They have already cared about the stone to the point of indifferent. Only some powerful treasures and techniques can attract them. Jian Wushuang was aside, his eyes gleaming, but he didn't dare to show it. The bottom of my heart was secretly shocked. These ancient sects were really rich and powerful. According to his current understanding, the purchasing power of 2 million sacred stones exceeded the net worth of a Fourth-Order Emperor outside. Except for a few heavenly guards, such as Wind and Rain Demon Lord, she has eternal treasures, but there are also relatively poor ones. For example, the Zhen Wu Yang he knew, although he didn't know much about it. But from the surface, it could be seen that Zhen Wu Yang's net worth could have 2 million sacred stones. The key is that there are many extinct exotic fruit treasures in the outside world, which are rare treasures in ancient civilizations. For example, the source fruit of Kendo, there is no outside world, and there are fruits that are much weaker than this. There are no such magical treasures in the universe, only in the depths of the long river of time and space. But the threshold to go there is the Fifth-Order Emperor, and even the Fifth-Order Emperor may fall. However, in the 4 secret realms, although the source fruit of Kendo is rare, ordinary emperors can still take it out. After all, it is not extinct. No matter how many billions of years it takes to be born, it will always increase, and the source will reduce its value. A trace of thought looking around in the world of Shumi. He also wanted to participate in this gambling game at first, but when he heard that the treasures would eventually fall into the hands of the two competing against each other, Jian Wushuang had no interest in this. The main thing is poor. Otherwise, I really want to wave my hand and take out some treasures to add to the fun. Jian Wushuang's eyes swept towards the ring with an inspiration. Elder Nine Swords, please wait a moment. I have a treasure here that can be used as a prize. Wow! With his palm, a dazzling crystal pillar appeared in his hand. This was the treasure that had been exchanged by Qiu Huang to restore its origin, and it was the key treasure needed to restore the ultimate origin. These treasures were not used in the four secret realms and were collected by the four halls long ago. Juxian Divine Stone. The palace lord of Shangqing said silently, with a strange color in his eyes. The other Fifth Order emperors were shocked when they heard this name. They all knew that Jian Wushuang's background was unusual, and he was a person from the Tomb of the Gods, but they didn't expect that he would be able to take out this long-lost treasure. Jian Wushuang's heart trembled. When he exchanged this treasure with Qiu Huang, he spent 150,000 precious points, which was converted into a sacred stone, at least 300,000. The key is that this treasure has disappeared in the four secret realms. Even if you want it, you can't get it. As for its usefulness, it is impossible to find out. In addition to overflowing with the ultimate source, this treasure used to be one of the pieces on a piece of Zhu Xianshi which can temper the source, and is considered a rare cultivation treasure. For these people, the value of this treasure is more than 500,000 sacred stones. This little friend, such an important treasure, as a lottery, a little wasted, it is better to sell it to the old man. The eyes of the Taoist master Luyang of Demon Tao were hot. This treasure overflowed him greatly. Jian Wushuang shook his head and said faintly, "I have neither side of this treasure. I guess they are tied. If you lose, the treasure will be at your disposal. If you win, the rest will go to me, and this treasure will be given to them. Victor among people." Okay, I agree with this proposal. Taoist Luyang directly agreed. Although the others are interested in this treasure, they are not as urgent as Luyang. However, Jian Wushuang's identity was special, and there was another impenetrable Fifth Order peak emperor beside him. This face was still to be given, and no one opposed him at the moment. As the host of the Shangqing Palace, naturally, there will be no disputes with guests over some trivial matters. Then let's wait and see. Elder Nine Swords smiled slightly. However, looking at Jian Wushuang's figure, there was also a trace of unmoved expression in his eyes. The people of the Tomb of the Gods really have great secrets in them. Extinct treasures can be taken out at hand. It seems that in the four great secret realms, the future may not be peaceful. He can be regarded as the top figure in the Shangqing Palace, and he knows more about some secret things than others. The establishment of the Senate Palace and the status of the temple are on the same level. This matter has long been spread. Now the Taoist monarchs on the Tomb God Mountain came to travel, and the powerful emperors from the Yuanlao Palace were accompanied, all of which were warning them that the sky was about to change. In the future, not only the temple will press them, but also the palace of the elders and even the mysterious visitors on the Mountain of Tombs. Jian Wushuang didn't think much of them. He just wanted to take the least treasures and get the most value. 13 golden swords. This time he couldn't escape, and he would definitely appear in the next round. These old guys also wanted to test his strength, but they didn't dare to speak rashly. He didn't have any thoughts about this. It was nothing to show off his strength for the golden sword. He didn't care what these people thought. Anyway, the sky was falling, and the taller man went up to bear it. Playing with the jade board on his thumb, Jian Wushuang cast his eyes on the ring. I wish the battle between Bacha and Wind-Holding Sword is indeed a wonderful word. Chapter 53:14. The strength of the two is extremely strong. Even if placed outside, they are also the top 1,000 Dayan immortals. In the four secret realms, the two are comparable to the Emperor, and they also have a half-step imperial power in the outside world. At the beginning, There were only a few half-step emperors on the list of cosmic gods and demons, and they were all practitioners of the ultimate path in their early 200s. Now, because of the treasures of the Chichen Temple, most of the second-rank Yuan-Yuando powerhouses have also entered the half-step emperor. According to his speculation, the Emperor Banbu has broken 1,000. The entire primitive universe is infinitely large, much larger than the four secret realms of the Chichen Temple, and only so many powerful people have emerged in total. And in the secret realm of the heavens, the Taoist monarch in the north is probably stronger than the outside world. This is not about quantity, but quality. The sword chief of the Shangqing Palace, even in the outside world, could rank in the top 100, and his strength was about the same as that of the 10,000-star god emperor, who was imitation of the eternal treasure and even stronger than the 10,000 stars. No matter how strong the opponent is, he will be defeated with one sword. This kind of aura is also a powerful person comparable to the emperor in the outside world. Now, on Primordial Star, there are probably not many people who can be better than him. Although the Shangqing Palace is very famous, there are still many ancient sects that are stronger than the Shangqing Palace in terms of comprehensive strength. In the north, there are several sects far surpassing the Shangqing Palace. The Winter City in the Northern Territory is the real master. It has fought against the White Tiger Palace several times. After being suppressed, although it is quite low-key, the White Tiger Palace is in the Winter City Deep in the Northern Territory with one man. Nothing is inserted. This is a symbol of strength. There are more sects of the same kind, and the Heavenly Demon sect is not weaker than the Shangqing Palace, and the strength of the two is equal and even stronger in the inheritance of the sect. The Shangqing Palace was created by the ancestors of the Shangqing dynasty, and the Shangqing dynasty emerged in the age of four secret realms. The Celestial Demon Gate was rising in the age of the gods. At that time, the Celestial Demon Gate was stronger than the Winter City, and the god of creation of the Celestial Demon Gate was even more of a sinful demon. His strength is extremely powerful, and his inheritance is naturally stronger. It is a pity that he was ruled by a god. This kind of character is a scourge to stay in the four secret realms. Although it was not the devourer, it was not much different, and leaving it was a curse. The Zhu Bacha on the court has accepted the inheritance of the heavenly demon. That demon giant is called 6 Suns because when he was incarnate as a heavenly demon, he had 6 arms, and his palms were like the sun. He was extremely dazzling. He once fought battles against several Fifth-Order emperors and defeated a Fifth-Order emperor. If someone came to rescue him, the Fifth-Order Peak Emperor would have to fall on the spot. With such strength, even in the Shangqing Palace, it can be comparable to the strongest sword among the 9 swords. This is the real powerhouse. If the Sixth-Order Emperor does not come out, it is his world. The one off the court also has this aura at this time. Haha, this is your true strength. Zhu Bacha turned into a 6-armed demon, holding 6 épées with no edge, and the chasing swords that killed them were retreating steadily. 6 swords attacked together, just like one sword, but the power was 6 times stronger. The wind-chasing sword can't resist at all, and can only evade quickly with a flexible posture. Her body was backed back hundreds of thousands of miles again, and his body was plunged into a sea of chaos. But when the outside world looked at it, the distance between the two was still only a few miles. Zhu Bacha's strength really exceeded his imagination. Tai Ajian came out, still being crushed and beaten. I'm going to lose. The body of the demon is too strong, even stronger than the perfect body, and the divine body is also approaching 9,000 times. Many emperors or Taoists in the rear commented, "The great elder of the Shangqing Palace was not for this reason. His disciple knew best, and the strongest sword had not been revealed yet, and everything was hard to say." 6-armed demon. Elder 9 Swords was a bit surprised. Nowadays, he is in charge of many things in the Shangqing Palace. He knows many things and has more things to care about. For example, the overall strength of the younger generation is constantly being compared. This is the best way to see that those sects continue to grow stronger, and the strengths of those sects are declining. Compared with usual, this generation of disciples in the Shangqing Palace did not appear to be a Taoist monarch who was too against the sky. In the previous generations, Nie Yuan has been born, or the seedlings of several Jinkui appeared in the same generation. This generation is a bit too ordinary, although Tai Ajian's sword chief is strong. But this one, there is not even one that can compete with him. Looking at the celestial demon sect, I wish Bacchus' strength is only a giant in the celestial demon sect, and he is not in the top 10, but his strength can be so strong. And with the combat power of Tai Ajian, this is pretty good. Wouldn't the top 10 giants be stronger than the Taijian of the Shangqing Palace? The Shangqing Palace is different from the Heavenly Demon sect. They pay more attention to excellence, and the entire sect of the Heavenly Demon sect is like a Shura field. Where the strong live, the identities of those giants change quickly. But in Shangqing Palace, except for the 13th Taijian, there is no Taoist that can take a shot. I want to announce that Mimi Reading Gap is really good. It's worth installing. After all, you can cache books and read aloud offline. Even if the Heavenly Demon Gate does not have these giants, there will be some other Tao monarchs who are eager to climb up. Where is the Shangqing Palace? The current Yanxian hasn't been cultivated yet, and once the 13 Tea swords break through to the Emperor, there will be no one to fill the gap. Elder Nine Swords' complexion was colorless, but in his heart he secretly made up his mind that before the next era, the resources of the sect should be tilted to the first level, even to those mortals. This is the foundation. A group of waste emperors who take advantage of the whole thing and don't work are just waste. Turning his head to look at the emperors of the Shangqing Palace sitting in the second row, he couldn't get angry. Especially the Third Order Emperor, not at all motivated. When they just broke through, they were all arrogant, but now they are all discouraged. None of the Fourth Order Emperors have any hope of reaching the Fifth Order. The Taoist generation is very common. The heavens of the four secret realms will soon change, and their strength in the Shangqing Palace will gradually decline by then, and it may be difficult for them to survive. No matter how powerful the patriarch is, a bunch of trash under his command will not work. Nie Yuan. Elder Jiujian said silently in his heart. Nie Yuan, who had regained his fighting spirit, changed his decadence, and his whole body was energetic. Most importantly, this person has never really given up his kendo. Originally thought he had abandoned himself, who would have thought that he would hide his strength. Now he is the Fourth Order peak, plus the current momentum. The Fifth Order Emperor is not far away. This kind of talent shouldn't have been driven away just because of a little face. It's just because of a marriage. It turned out to be like this. Thinking of this, Elder Nine Swords swept to the side of the Great Elder, determined to change the Shangqing Palace, and had to clean it from above. At least we must get rid of the stubborn heart of these old guys. Otherwise, the Shangqing Palace will be destroyed by their generation. In the end, it is the younger generation. Looking at the battle below, Elder Nine Swords pondered in his heart and said in secret, "This time, it's good to lose. You can't always let them daydream." Boom. Chapter 53:15. After a huge muffled sound, the chasing sword on the ring was smashed out tens of thousands of miles. The whole body began to crack. Careless. The big elder, sitting above, his face changed slightly. Even Jian Wushuang couldn't help shaking his head in public. This chasing sword was too turbulent, relying on his posture to constantly provocation. Originally wanted to find Zhu Bacchus' flaws, but in the end he leaked the flaws, was severely injured by a sword, and his divine body was shattered. This is obviously going to be over. Destroy me. I wish the body of the eight-pointed demon, swooping down majestically. The wind-chasing sword drew the sword again, and his breath continued to rise. But in the middle of it he languished. Apparently the origin was also injured. Stop. Before Elder 9 Swords called to stop, the great elder stood up first and directly pulled the wind-chasing sword from the ring with a wave of his hand. Elder 9 Swords' expression moved, a little angry. He now doubts whether this wind-herring sword is the illegitimate son of the great elder. Is it necessary to do this? Even if the sword was really slashed, the wind-chasing sword would not fall, and it would be seriously injured at most, sleeping for a while. This is not very good. Let him correct his own problems. Taoist Liu Yang's complexion is not very good. If it weren't for the palace lord of Shangqing here, he would have to swear. Is this necessary for the struggle between juniors? If you end up personally, even if you want to stop the loss, it will be Elder Zhujian's shot. Could it be possible that Zhou Jian could still watch the Tai Jian of the Shangqing Palace fall? The other emperors, even though they were a little dissatisfied, didn't dare to show it. They could only turn their heads to congratulate Taoist Liu Yang. Hearing this, his face was a little better. These people obviously don't care about treasures. But Jian Wushuang cares. In his opinion, the strength of the two is equal, and the great elder will interfere, which is also in his expectation. So he will bet for a tie. Now that it's good. This wind-chasing sword is too wasteful. His strength has not been revealed at all. It is very hopeful that he will tie, and he has to hide one hand and wait for the other party's flaws. In the end, he lost. Damn it! Jian Wushuang cursed secretly, but he didn't find any treasures, and finally lost that piece of Zhuxian divine stone. I wish Bacha victory. Elder 9 Swords shouted, and the other 12 Tai Jianzi all leaked expressions of surprise. According to what the elders said, they shouldn't be the strongest. They originally vowed to defend all the arenas without losing. Who would have thought that after only a few rounds, he would lose one game? They also heard that a Taoist monarch came up on the tomb's sacred mountain. He was very strong, and his origin was much stronger than that of the emperor. Before that man made a move, they lost one. A lot of treasures and sacred stones fell in front of Zhu Bacha. These are all yours. When Zhu Bacha heard this, he thought that golden sword would not be given to him. At the moment, he was hesitant to pick it up, and his eyes turned to Taoist Liu Yang. Take it. These treasures have nothing to do with the golden sword. Taoist Liu Yang spoke, wishing Bacha would dare to accept so many treasures. Don't thank these predecessors. Taoist Liu Yang said with Yin and Yang's strange aura. Zhu Bacha seems to have come to understand, and bowed and thanked me now, those of the demon sex. It's okay, the other decent monarchs are a bit unsightly, especially Elder 9 Swords. He was not afraid of losing, nor complained. Just can't get used to this way of the great elder. Next round, continue. Elder 9 Swords, his voice is like Hong Zhong. Zhu Bacha set the precedent for this time to seize the sword, and the emperor also played one after another. The Daojun who can sit in the second row can be comparable in strength to the emperor, and his status is extremely noble. This time he came for the golden sword and made a name for himself. They are all figures who are about to join the Dao. After this victory, the Dao heart is consummated, and the He Dao stepped into the emperor and became a strong one. Sheruo City, Broly, a burly man with naked torso and ash eyes, stood up. He sits in the 5th row, very inconspicuous. The breath is also very ordinary, full of jet black long hair, bound by a headband, like a savage. The Taoist sitting in the 3rd row couldn't help but sneer. It's all this time, and there are still people daydreaming. Insert a sentence. Mimi reading gap, really good. It is worth installing one. After all, you can cache reading and read aloud offline. In the first few rounds, most of them were casual cultivators. These casual cultivators had no school or faction. They reported their names directly, and no one knew them, so they could only add a city name in front of them. Qingyang sect, Wusan. Jingguang City, last week. Jian Wushuang didn't plan to watch anymore, and there was nothing to watch behind. In general, he is very enthusiastic about the unique treasures, but these people are not very good. No wonder the Temple of Qi will recruit inheritors from the outside world. Practitioners in the 4 secret realms of feelings are all rubbish. No matter how strong the inherited treasure is, the original flaw cannot be made up for. Yang Sanmu knew this for a long time, but didn't care about it. That's why he stayed here with a straight face. These people really don't deserve to sit at the table with him. When fighting abroad, he would rather believe in the puppets of Xuanwu Temple than the waste left over from ancient times. Tomb God Mountain, Jian Wushuang, ask for advice. Jian Wushuang's figure was like a sharp blade, breaking through the air and falling directly to the last vacant ring. The 13th sword of Shangqing, the 12th sword Mengjian Fairy. The name is also very similar to an old person. Jian Wushuang doesn't like it. His appearance made Elder Zhijian's expression move. Today, the golden sword has lost at least 2 of them. He can't quite see the strength of Jian Wushuang. Fairy Sheng Mengjian is more than rubbing it. The appearance of Jian Wushuang made many younger generations straighten their eyes. The mysterious Taoist monarch on the Tomb God Mountain is even more invisible, but many people still feel that it is too exaggerated. Even if it is strong, it is a Taoist monarch. The 4 secret realms are so big that they can still be afraid of a Taoist monarch from a mountain. Originally, these people thought that Jian Wushuang's status should also challenge Jin Kuei when they played, but they didn't expect to beat a woman. Really reduced his status. They are all in the first row, and they are the same generation as those of the Fifth Order emperors, so they have a good life. Nie Yuan didn't think there was anything wrong with Jian Wushuang. He was a master of kendo, and he could analyze many things in every move of Jian Xiu. Uncle Nie, is he strong? The Qing Luo girl asked cautiously. Nie Yuan nodded and said, very strong, at least a level better than that fairy sword fairy. Then he played to a Jin Kuei. The girl had many questions in her heart. Seeing Shirshu Ni's answer, she hurriedly asked. Nie Yuan turned his head and said with a petting look in his eyes, I will know this after a fight. Take a good look, it's useful to you. An emperor sitting in the 4th row couldn't help snorting coldly and sneered, Why, I just want to hug my thigh, and this started to flatter me. The emperor's strength was average, but his background was so strong that he dared to speak up, Nie Yuan. After hearing these words, the Qing Luo girl was very angry, but Nie Yuan suppressed it when she wanted to refute. Humph! The emperors are so powerful, they can't see Jian Wushuang very well. And those Taoists are even worse. Chapter 53:16. 13 people stepped onto the ring, and the fight was only between one thought. Jian Wushuang. Fairy Mengjian has cold eyebrows and her face is proud, but her sword is not like that. From the very beginning, Jian Wushuang only glanced at the other party slightly and saw her swordsmanship. She walked a long way on the sword, but the swordsmanship she created was very ordinary. Just this, her strength can still be ranked in the top 8, not the bottom person. These 13 Taiajians' unique skills for these people to practice is simply a huge waste, not to mention looking at the universe. It is said that this class of swordsmanship has spread to Desiyu, and the 13 people drawn out are much better than them. In the outside world, the second product origin is at least complete without any defects. Your Excellency is from the Tomb Mountain, and it's a sword repairer. The little girl is also thinking of asking for advice. Jian Wushuang stretched out his arm and made a please. Suddenly the sound of the wind breaks, and it is utterly unstoppable. The two were the first to fight against each other, and the sky was full of swords and shadows. The enthusiasm was seen by others. Jian Wushuang knew, for himself, that he hadn't done much just now. All these were the methods of Fairy Mengjian. Well, Jian Wushuang doesn't seem to have a sword. The emperors can still see clearly, and some other Taoists, like that Zhu Bacha, can also see some doorways. After all, his strength is not weak. The gap is a bit big. The Fifth Order Emperor's eyes were sharp, and he saw Jian Wushuang's extraordinary at a glance. At first, they thought it would be a fierce battle, but in the end, Mengjian Fairy lost. Now, I am afraid that Mengjian Fairy will not be able to compete for 3 rounds. Staggered, Jian Wushuang's body technique turned, and the whole body leaned back. The sword of Fairy Mengjian, just now, was a child's play for him. You don't use it to a sword? Jian Wushuang really feels a headache for these swordsmen. Why these people are very arrogant. Can't come up with a cruel move. Still waiting for the warm-up. It's too ridiculous. To a large extent, Hustling Sword just underestimated the opponent. His strength was not much weaker than Zhu Bacha. In a good situation, he was killed by himself. Fairy Mengjian was a little surprised by Jian Wushuang's body style, but she didn't know that Jian Wushuang had already stepped into the origin level of space. In space, he was much stronger than the emperors of the 4 secret realms. Naturally, she is stronger than her by many levels. Didn't you also have a sword? Fairy Mengjian said, "This sentence is nothing. He hasn't made a sword, and it's normal for the other party not to have a unique skill. Everyone is a decent person, but it is a shame for Jian Wushuang, because he didn't even have a magic sword to take out. The light blue long sword in Fairy Dream Sword's hands was as beautiful as a dream, and it seemed to be at least an innate, superb sword. The opponent came from an ancient sect. It is normal to have this kind of treasure, and it is understandable that there are more treasures than the outside world. After all, it is handed down from ancient times. But Jian Wushuang's current identity came from the mysterious Tomb Mountain. This sense of mystery was not only for these people. Even Jian Wushuang felt very mysterious because he didn't know where the Tomb Mountain was or what was on it. With his current status, it would not be an exaggeration to take out an eternally treasured divine sword. But he didn't. There is an ancient sword of the supreme treasure on his body, which was collected from Mo Long. You can't take this broken sword out of shame. The most important thing is that he doesn't need it, or in other words, to deal with a strong man like Mengjian Fairy. He doesn't need to use a sword at all. It's not easy to see his long sword. It'll stand in front of you, let you see enough at a time, because it's not a sword. Jian Wushuang's figure flickered and soon disappeared in place. When he reappeared, a hot divine sword appeared in this chaotic space. This is the 6th layer of the ultimate way, the heart sword test. Broken. Puff. With a sword breaking, Jian Wushuang's speed was very fast, but for an instant, many emperors did not react, and Fairy Mengjian's body fell to nothing. This sword didn't hurt the origin of the opponent. After all, this is the Shangjing Palace, so you must grasp the scale. It just caused the opponent's origin to oscillate, and his strength instantly declined, and the whole person was a little unsteady, floating directly in the mixed space, and fell to the ground. Jian Wushuang looked down, humming like a sword. That is the aftermath. The aftermath of the sword sound made people intoxicated. His hands trembled a little, and when he first pierced Fairy Mengjian's body, that evil thought instantly filled his entire mind. He almost couldn't suppress his thoughts. Fortunately, the sound of swordsmen kept reminding him. The thought of swallowing, startled again, made him very comfortable. The main thing is the breakthrough of Jidao. It has reached the 6th level. This stage is the most uncomfortable and the fastest improvement. Another part of the reason is that the natives of the 4 great secret realms are too fragile in origin. If they really want to be swallowed, I am afraid it will be easy. Fairy Dream, Sword's Kendo origin. He is sure to swallow half of it. It used to swallow 10%, but now it has directly increased to half. The Dayan Immortal who devours the outside world may not be able to do it, but the Dayan Immortal of the 4 great secret realms, that is, these Taoists, is too fragile for him. Here, Kendo is not very good, and it is incomparable in unique knowledge. Ji Dao is very adaptable here, just by relying on Ji Dao. He can ask the head of Dao monarch. Just the horrible devouring power emperor has to avoid it when he comes. This is the Lord against heaven. Even those who have attained the Tao must retreat. There are also many first-order and second-order emperors in the 4 great secret realms, and the status of these emperors is very low, even those Daozi can't match. It's okay if you have a background. Be a deacon in the sect. Some things can't always be done by the strong. Just like outside the Shanqing Palace. Most of the emperors who were greeted and sent off were deacons, but as the face of the Shanqing Palace, these people could not be too weak. Most of them were second-order emperors. Those who don't have a background can be miserable, and it's okay to keep a low profile. Otherwise, they will be chased down by those against the heavens. Every Taoist against the heavens will look for some emperor to challenge before he joins the Tao. If the strength is not enough, they will challenge the first-order emperor, and if they lose, they will retreat. This can be considered weak and sad. In the primitive universe, there are very few Dayan Immortals, and no one of those emperors will be afraid of a Dayan Immortal, and the understanding of Tao is very different. In addition, the book reading app one I'm using recently, Mimyriad app, has many sources of books, complete books, and fast update. The emperor with the weakest calculation has also mastered the origin of space, has walked his origin path to perfection, and realized space. It's different in the Temple of Qishan. These emperors can only comprehend the origin of space when they are in the 3rd level. Many second-order emperors have just touched the threshold of the origin of space, and they are not as good as the Dayan Immortals from the outside world. As for those emperors, it was even worse, and there was hardly any sight of the threshold of the origin of space. The strength he showed just now surprised the emperors above. It was not all his crushing power, but his familiarity with space. It's the breath of the origin of space.